Hey everybody, Jinjo's coming at you with a tournament report video. I'm very excited about this one. So we started another tournament over on the Big Old Top Discord channel. And if you're watching this video, that means you are in the tournament. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be going over every single pod that has been posted for week one. And I'm going to help you with your hero suggestions. So just the basics of it, you're going to be put into a pod. You're going to get 3 pre-selected heroes. Then you can select 2 heroes of your choice. And my goal is to kind of just give you a little bit of guidance in terms of how you want to choose those heroes and make some hero suggestions for you guys. And we'll just be going over the pods as well if that's something that interests you. So there's a couple things before I get in. There's a couple things I just want to let you know in terms of my kind of methodology and how I do these things. So in terms of importance, in terms of what kind of my priorities when it comes to selecting these heroes, the first one is that the main goal is to not lose. That's the big one. And usually the scheme is what's going to cause you to lose a lot of the time. So if the scheme is particular and says something like, hey, you need to have covert heroes or you need to have strength heroes in order to prevent a bad thing from occurring, that's going to kind of take precedence over everything else. So that's kind of my first step is I look at the scheme and see what that's going to do. Then I look at the heroes, and that's kind of my next priority because a very synergistic hero deck is going to be probably the most important thing that you can do in this tournament, is because you want your heroes to actually work together and you want to be able to create a cohesive strategy so that you can defeat the villains, fight the mastermind, and win the game as quickly as possible while gaining as much victory points as possible. So that's kind of my next step. The next one I would look towards the mastermind. That's going to be kind of the next priority list. If the mastermind says, something along the lines of like reveal a tech hero or gain a wound, I'm going to try and get 2 common cards in there that are tech class, so you can prevent those from occurring. Then after that's the villains. Lots of times villains don't really ask a ton of you, and so lots of times I just don't really put a huge priority on them, just because unless it's a very specific villain group and they ask a lot of you in terms of like hero classes and things like that. Like Sinister Six from I believe it's from Paint the Town Red expansion. They have a lot of villains that say, hey, a bad thing's going to happen unless you have an instinct hero. In that case, I'll take that into consideration. But lots of times villain cards, they have effects that you can't either prevent or things like that. So villains kind of go low on the priority list. Now, some things I'm not going to kind of consider or really talk about in this video. One is rare cards. That's one thing I generally don't bring in rare cards from the pre-selected heroes and kind of base my suggestions off of those ones. So I'm not really going to be considering or thinking about those ones. There's only one copy of each of them in the deck, and there's a huge chance you'll never even see one, and then there's a big chance you won't even recruit one. So lots of times, I don't really consider those too much. And also, as I read through all of the pods and all the cards that are available that we know about in them, if it doesn't, like for example, if a villain group doesn't ask us of a certain like hero class or ask us to do something specific, I'm just not going to be going over it. I'll mention it when I talk about the pods, but in terms of going over like, oh, you can use this strategy to fight them, if they don't ask much of you, I'm just going to be passing over them because we have 15 pods to go through. That's quite a lot. I will be going over all the schemes and masterminds though. I'll be reading through all the setups for you guys. So yeah, like I said, we got a lot to get through. So I think we're just going to be jumping right in. So starting with pod number 1, we have Hark the Herald, Fealty Swing. Love all the names for all of these pods. But yeah, so just kind of go over real quick. For the mastermind, we have Galactus. For the scheme, we have Secret Empire of Betrayal. For the villain deck, we have Heralds of Galactus, Sinister Six, Doombot Legion. Inside of the Dark Loyalty deck, which is connected to the scheme, the Silver Surfer is going to be in there. So that means we can't select the Silver Surfer as one of these pre-selected ones. For the heroes we have available to us, we have Agent Phil Coulson, Groot, and Mr. Fantastic. Nice little spread there, and all 3 of them are going to kind of ask of us different things and pull us into different directions. So despite the henchmen, which is the Doombot Legion, core heroes are not available for hero selection. Neither is the Silver Surfer. So just kind of keep that in mind. Sometimes certain pods are going to end up with not enough henchmen or maybe even no henchmen to use. So sometimes he has to pull from the core set. So and then the sets that are allowed are going to be the Fantastic Four, Guardians of the Galaxy, Paint the Town Red, and Shield. Now, I'm not going to be going over this, but make sure you keep an eye on all of these: the Officer deck, the Sidekick deck, the Wound deck, Bystander deck, and the Bystander. And this just tells you what kind of bystanders you can rescue in this one. In this case, it's only standard bystanders. Okay, let's jump into the mastermind, the scheme, and see what we are dealing with here. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. A huge shout out to legendarycardgame.com. This is an incredible website. This is what I use for a lot of my strategy building and is a great database for just for all these great setups. So let's take a look. I passed it up. Okay, Galactus. So he has 20 HP, which sounds big, but he does have Cosmic Threat of every single hero class. Now, so we can reduce his HP by 3 for every single hero we reveal of a certain class. So for example, we can choose Strength, and we can reveal all the Strength cards in our hand, and that's going to reduce his HP down by quite a bit. For the Master Strike, he's going to destroy the city space close to Galactus. Any villains there escape. Put this Master Strike there. When the city is destroyed, Galactus is going to win. So that's just kind of a timer mastermind. We can't really do anything about that. So we're just going to kind of ignore that. But the one kind of hint we have is Galactus wants us to focus on one or two hero classes, so we can reduce his HP down as much as possible on each player's turn. So that's one thing we want to keep in mind. We want to try and just reduce the amount of hero classes we have. Let's take a look over at the scheme here. All right, for the scheme, we have Secret Empire of Betrayal. We're going to have 11 twists in the villain deck. Randomly pick 5 cards that cost 5 or less from an additional hero. Shuffle them to form a Dark Loyalty deck. When a twist is drawn, shuffle this twist into the Dark Loyalty deck as a Vicious Betrayal. Then reveal the top card of the top card of that deck. If it's a hero, gain it. If it's a Vicious Betrayal, put it next to the scheme, and each other player gains a wound. Evil wins when there are 6 Vicious Betrayals next to the scheme. So once again, this is kind of another timer scheme where we can't really stop this from occurring, but it is going to give us access to that Dark Loyalty hero, and we can kind of use those cards in order to defeat the mastermind as quickly as possible. And that one is going to be Silver Surfer. So it has to be cards that cost 5 or less. So that means that the only 2 that are going to be in that Dark Loyalty deck are Warp Speed and Epic Destiny. Now, what's nice about these is they're pretty dang generic, especially Warp Speed, which is great. You can simply play this card, spend the 2 recruit to focus 2 and to draw a card. So you basically just kind of cycle that card, and it might not have any effect. It gives you a little recruit boost as well. Same with Epic Destiny. This one lots of times ends up being just like a Maria Hill officer, just with that 2 recruit. Being able to focus 6 and defeat a villain of 5 or 6, I feel like it doesn't come up a ton. It's very specific numbers, so just kind of depends, but you'll get a little extra recruit boost from these Silver Surfers. So in this case, you probably won't need exactly to recruit any Maria Hill officers. I feel like recruiting officers lots of times kind of break the glass in an emergency situation, but right now we're going to be the scheme is going to provide those for us. All right, moving into the villain groups, there's not a ton of demands inside of the villain group here, but there's just a few little things right here. So one of them is the Heralds of Galactus, and we're mainly looking at Firelord here. He does have Cosmic Threat of range. When you fight him, each player is going to have to reveal a range hero or gain a wound, and if he escapes, the same effect. So this could potentially hand out 4 wounds. So there's a little bit above for us to get a couple common cards that have a ranged hero class in there. The other 3 do ask us of different hero classes like Instinct, Strength, and Covert, but lots of them are either positives or not negative enough that we need to focus on. So a little bit above towards wanting to have a ranged hero there. And I actually mentioned these guys before. This is the Sinister Six villain group. This is another villain group that is asking us to have a certain hero class. So for example, Sandman, each player has to reveal a instinct card, or we're going to gain a wound. For the Vulture, if he escapes, each player has to reveal an instinct card or gain a wound. And then Shocker, Ambush, each player reveals a instinct hero or discards a card. So that's 3 villains in there that are asking us of some of the specifics. So I think it is kind of where that does have enough impact that I do want to try and get at least a couple common cards in there that does have the instinct hero card. So we're looking for kind of a ranged and a instinct cards being able to add into the hero deck. All right, let's take a look at our first pre-selected hero. This is Agent Phil Coulson. He's pretty solid in my opinion. He does focus around the shield level, meaning that we have to put our shield heroes inside of our victory pile in order to increase the shield level, so we can get abilities like drawing an extra card at the end of the turn with impeccable planning. We get extra attack from Approve Orbital Strike, things like that. The one thing he is asking of us, so the 2 things he's asking of us is he does want us a way to increase the shield level, and he wants to have some covert cards in order to send cards undercover. So unfortunately we don't have any instinct or any range cards, kind of what the deck is asking of us, but we do have 2 common cards of covert, so we might want to focus our choices on covert heroes so that we can increase our chances of decreasing Galactus's HP through the cosmic threat. The one thing about Phil Coulson, I feel like there's a slight chance you can get that shield level up all by himself, but it's not very consistent. So I would say if you really want Phil Coulson to work, I think you do need to bring another hero along that can increase the shield level. And 90% of the time, that's going to be a hero from the shield expansion. So take a look at that one, and I'll be bringing that up inside of when I make my hero suggestions. Let's take a look at our next one. This is coming from the Guardians of the Galaxy expansion. One of my favorites, actually. I love a lot of the cards in this one. We have Groot. Now, Groot is an incredible hero. He is very strong on his own. just a really, really good card. For example, like, and the main card we want to look at is Prune the Gross. This is one of his common cards. Gives you 2 attack, and if you activate it through a strength card, you may KO a card from your hand or discard pile, and if you do, you get to gain a shard. That's very, very strong, and we want to make sure that card is activated as well. So once again, unfortunately, the hero suggestions we have right now are really putting us kind of all over the place in terms of our hero classes. Now we have 2 common cards that are strength class, and neither of those are going to help us with the villains and what they're asking of us. So there might be a slight chance that we're actually going to end up with a more varied hero pool, and so it's going to be a little harder to take Galactus down. But these cards are really dang powerful. I actually love Surviving Sprig, one of my favorite cards in the whole set. So so Groot is asking us for some strength cards, mostly to activate Prune the Gross. We do get one with Surviving Sprig. So we kind of my general rule is, so if I want to activate Prune Gross on a consistent basis, I want to have two common cards that are strength class, so that we can activate that consistently, and that means there's going to be 10 cards inside of the hero deck that have that strength class. And also Prune the Gross can activate itself if need be. So that's kind of my general rule when it comes to activating superpowers on a consistent basis. Groot and Branches does want us to have a covert card as well. And let's see, you may spend shards. You may choose another player. That player gains a shard. So I would say activating that isn't like incredibly crucial, but it is an advantage we want to have. If we can have at least one other common card that's covert. Actually, Agent Phil Coulson provides that for us. So he provides 2 common cards that are covert. So we really don't need to worry about Groot and Branches. We can probably activate that on a pretty consistent basis because we have those 2 common cards from Agent Phil Coulson. So that's what Groot's asking for us. Let's take a look at our last suggested hero, which is going to be Mr. Fantastic. Great hero. Another hero that is pulling us in a different direction in terms of 2 common cards that do give us that are tech class. So now we have 2 strength, 2 strength, 2 covert, and 2 but Mr. Fantastic is a very powerful hero with a lot of card draw, which is like, if you've ever watched any of my videos, card draw is probably one of the most powerful things you can do in the entire game, because since every card you draw is just free to play. The more you can draw, the more cards you play, the more stats you get. So Mr. Fantastic isn't asking us too much, I would say. He does want us to have a Fantastic Four hero in order to activate one gigantic hand. So bringing along another one probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the whole wide world, but I wouldn't say it's a giant thing, because we do have 2 common cards that can activate it. Mr. Fantastic is a nice little kind of compact hero. Like, you could bring him into almost any setup, and he's going to do pretty decently. So just to kind of summarize what we're kind of looking for, I think what we do want to have at least another common card that has the strength class, so we can activate Groot's common card. We also, if we could bring along another Fantastic Four hero, that probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, just so we can activate one gigantic hand on a consistent basis. We also want to increase the shield level with Agent Phil Coulson, and maybe bring along another covert card. So unfortunately, our setup isn't really pulling us to have ranged or instinct cards in order to fight the villain deck. So that's kind of the tough part, and I don't think bringing those in and really diluting the deck is going to be the best way to go. So you might just have to suffer through the villains that are going to be handing out just a few wounds here and there, and maybe some discard going on as well. Might just have to suffer through that and really focus in on trying to keep the hero class pool low, so that you can hit Galactus as fast as possible. So let's go over some of the suggestions I have. I would say one of them is going to be Deathlock, which is, he's a great hero for increasing the shield level. He also brings along 2 more tech cards at the common level, so we can kind of have a tech deck. We can have Deathlock in there, we can have Mr. Fantastic, and maybe a couple of Phil Coulson cards in order to increase the shield level. But yeah, overall, he's a pretty powerful one. He's actually one of the few that I'm like, I think you can just use him to increase the shield level all by himself, and you don't need another one to support it. But bringing him along is going to increase the amount of tech cards you have, and just really give you a boost with Phil Coulson as well. The other one I was looking at is going to be Thing. So he provides a strength card here at common, which, like I said, we really only need 1 more in order to activate Groot as much as possible. But he also provides us with a Fantastic Four hero to activate Mr. Fantastic's uncommon card, and then also bringing on Yancey Street, which gives 4 recruit if activated by another Fantastic Four card, which we have with Mr. Fantastic, is really good. Any card that gives you 4 of either attack or recruit is generally extremely strong. I mean, if you think about it, if you can activate Yancey Street, that gives you 4 recruit, that's half of a rare card. That gives you halfway all the way to Clobbering Time. And I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Pretty happy about that, about the selection. The other one, this one is a little difficult because the problem is all four of these expansions are small expansions, so the pool is pretty dang small, and what you can kind of get out of it is it's pretty dang tough. I'm not gonna lie. The other option I saw, and it's kind of a weak one, I'm not gonna lie, is Black Cat. She does provide two more covert cards, so you can use this with Agent Phil Coulson in order to reduce Galactus' HP down as much as possible. And if I'm recalling correctly, let's see. There are some decent cards that have some decent printed attack values, so you can use Pickpocket at a decent pace. And then bringing along an instinct card with Jinx could help you with the villains there. This was kind of a difficult one to find. Just like I said, the expansions are very small, so being able to bring the expansions are really small, and the things it's asking of us is a little more broad. So those are kind of my three hero suggestions. Hopefully that helps you out, and I hope you guys have success in your gameplay. Good luck to everybody in pod number 1. All right, we're going to move into pod number 2. Really excited to go over this one. This one is, well, what we really need is a Venom Phenomenon. Great Chapel Roan reference. Actually, really quick side note. I remember driving home from work super tired, and I just threw her album on. I just kept hearing about it, but I never listened to it. I listened to every single song on that album, and I put every single one of those songs in my like general playlist. I was really impressed with it. So either way, okay, so let's go over what the setup is. So for the Mastermind, we have Carnage. For the scheme, we have Invasion of the Venom Symbiotes. Isn't that what they say in the movie, or is it symbiotes? Let's go with symbiotes. That sounds less weird. Villain deck, we have Maximum Carnage, Life Foundation, and for the henchmen, we have two of them: Savage Land Mutates and Sentinels. By the way, it is Savage Land Mutates. For some reason, I always call them Savage Land Mutants in all of my previous videos, so I'm trying to correct that in my mind. For the hero deck, we have Venom from the Venomverse. We have the Vishanti and Human Torch. I actually really love the Vishanti. One of my favorite hero decks in the entire game. For the special rules, note that despite the henchmen, core heroes are not available for hero selection. And then in terms of the sets that are available to us, we have Doctor Strange in the Shadows of Nightmare, Fantastic Four, Paint the Town Red, and Venom. Let's take a look at our Mastermind and scheme and see what it is going to be asking of us. Let's go to our Paint the Town Red section here. Move it up to Carnage. Okay, his main thing is 9 HP, which is 10's kind of the mark for me for when it starts getting pretty difficult. So 9 HP, Master Strike Feast on each player. Whenever this Master Strike feasts on a player's 0-cost hero, that player gains a wound. So we're gonna have to do a little wound prevention, and if we can find a way to get stuff on top of our deck so that when this happens, hopefully we can prevent it. The problem is Master Strikes happen at the start of the turn before we can play cards, so it's kind of like we'll see what happens basically. But if you can find a way, well, I guess you draw the cards at the end of the turn. So yeah, it's kind of hard to prevent this from actually occurring. But so we might be getting a few wounds here and there, so we can kind of keep that in mind there. Let's take a look at our scheme. It's coming from the Venom expansion, and looks like Invasion. It's Invasion, right? Yeah, Invasion. Okay, so the setup, there's gonna be 8 twists. We're gonna add an extra henchman group. Twist. This twist enters the city as a 3 attack symbiote villain worth 3 VP with ambush. This symbiote bonds with another villain in the city. Play another card from the villain deck. So the villain deck is going to be sped up by a little bit, but we do have an extra henchman group in there to kind of increase the size of it. Now, Evil's going to win when the escape pile has 3 cards per player or the villain deck runs out. So it's kind of a timer scheme, kind of just keep the city clear. There's not really anything we can do to prevent this from really occurring. So just try and keep the city clear. Like if you have a choice between recruiting something or attacking something, try and go for the attack and keep the city nice and empty. Let's take a look at Maximum Carnage. That is going to be the one of the villain groups, actually the one that he is going to be leading. So a lot of these do have feast abilities on them. So what that tells me is that I do want to have ways to know what's on top of my deck, or to put something on top of my deck so that I can either KO some of my 0-cost starting cards, maybe KO a wound, things like that. Or if I can know what's on top of my deck, then I can decide if I want to fight and activate the feast ability or not. So once again, a little bit of top deck manipulation is going to go quite a long way. In terms of the villain groups and the other henchmen, not really going to do too much in terms of changing how we view the our hero selections. Let's start with our heroes. The first pre-selected hero is, where is he? Is Venom. All right, Venom is a pretty solid hero. The main thing you can kind of tell just by looking at the cards is all of them do have attack and recruit symbols, and that mainly goes with his uncommon card, Symbiotic Adaptation. You're going to get +1 recruit and +1 attack for every card you played previously that has a recruit or an attack symbol. So that tells me that we do want to have cards like versatile cards that do have both an attack and recruit symbol, so we can we can use this uncommon card as much as possible. The other thing it's asking of us in his common card with the Devouring Drool, it wants us to have some instinct heroes so we can actually get both of those ability, the +2 attack and the +2 recruit, so we can get both of them. So not asking too much, I would say. And he's a pretty solid hero. He's not, I wouldn't say he's terribly specific. He's just going to give us kind of those raw numbers so that we can be able to keep the city nice and clear and end up fighting the Mastermind. Let's move over to the Vishanti, once again, one of my favorite ones here. Now, they have a couple demonic bargain things going on. Hogarth is kind of like the main powerhouse of the deck, I would say. You can use this to gain 4 attack off of 1 card. Once again, extremely powerful. That's one, if you can get 4 attack or 4 recruit off of 1 card, that's going to lead to a lot of really easy games, honestly. Actually, I mean, that's almost half of Carnage's attack value, which is pretty awesome. And then Oshur is probably one of the best wound prevention cards out there. It's going to KO wound from your hand or discard pile, and then you get the draw card. I mean, that's just bonkers strong. Very happy with this setup right now. Hero classes so far aren't really making a huge thing, but Hogarth does go with Venom's common card that does want some instinct hero. So we already have 1 common card that can help activate that, which is great. None of these cards do have 2 attack, an attack and a recruit symbol on them though. So kind of pushing towards, we might want to have another one. Another hero that does have an attack and recruit symbol. In terms of the Vishanti, the one thing you kind of want is a little bit of top deck manipulation or knowing what's on top, so you can make that demonic bargain without having to worry about it. So kind of the same thing along with Feast, and kind of has the same ability, honestly. Just Feast KOs and demonic bargain puts it into the discard pile. We do get a little bit of top deck knowledge with Agamotto. Just when you play it, you reveal the top card of your deck, you can discard it or put it back. So that can help you make that decision. But yeah, very powerful hero setup. Let's take a look at actually Agamotto does want us to have a ranged hero. So right now we don't have any of that. So there's a little bit of bump there. It is an uncommon, so there's a chance you might not even see this card, but we want to have at least 1 to 2 ranged cards so we can activate that one. Let's take a look at our last hero, which is going to be the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. So we have plenty of ways to KO wounds, honestly. From Call for Backup, we get to KO wound, we get +1 recruit. Hothead is going to provide a way for us to get big attack points, but it is going to gain a wound when played, and then we can use our recruit with Flame On to convert it into attack. So honestly, we have 2 very solid ways to start KOing the wounds that Carnage and Maximum Carnage are going to be handing out. We don't have a lot of top deck manipulation at this point. Call for Backup will help activate Venom's common card, which is great. So not really. So I would say the kind of the things we want to be looking at, we want to have some cards that do provide attack and recruit, so we can have that symbol on there. So Venom's uncommon card can dish out a lot of attack and a lot of recruit when you play it. And I would say we do still want to have some top deck manipulation. So honestly, there's not a lot of demand on this one. So this is a setup that is pretty free and open. You can kind of make your decisions in terms of that, because honestly, the hero setup we have right now is a kind of a nice little contained hero pool right now. So the other 2 heroes can kind of be their own little synergies between them. So like I said, not a lot of demand, I would say, when it comes to this setup. It's not, really telling us exactly what we need. So let's take a peek. Let's take a peek at a couple options that I looked at. So one of them is Clea. She does have a way for us to draw a card and then put a card from your hand on top of your deck. So top deck knowledge is nice, but top deck manipulation like this is even better, because you can purposely put something on top of it and then KO it through a Feast ability or discard it through a demonic bargain. And then also Demonic Descendant is going to give you 4 recruit with 1 card, going very, very well along with Hogarth. Also Prepare Dark Magic is a range card, so that's going to help with Vishanti as well. She's not asking too much of us. She also wants a range card to activate Bind the Dark Dimensions, which she provides. Pretty solid hero setup right there, I would say. The other choice, once again, this is a lot of small box expansions, so our choices are a little limiting. I would say Spider Woman is another good choice. Bioelectric Shock is going to provide, Radioactive Spider is going to provide you with a little top deck manipulation, being able to put a card on top of there and then get a really nice recruit boost. Bioelectric Shock is going to provide us with a ranged hero, so we can activate the Vishanti's uncommon card, which is good. And the thing about Spider-Woman, she's also just generically good. You can basically put her in any setup and you'll be just fine, because all she cares about is what's on top of your deck, if it's attack or recruit. And most of the time you're going to be able to draw a card off of Venom Blast and Bioelectric Shock. So that's another really solid one. Once again, since this isn't really demanding too much of us, we can kind of just grab some generically strong cards. Actually, now that I think about it, I didn't really find a card. I don't think I really found another hero that had attack and recruit symbols on it, now that I think about it. So I don't really think we can't really support Venom's uncommon card in this situation. In terms of another hero you could pick, I'm trying to do at least 3 suggestions per hero. So like Carnage could be another decent one right here. He's just very generically strong. Um, and that's kind of what you can do in this setup right now. You can grab one of these generically strong heroes that don't ask a lot of you, don't provide a lot of insight, and as long as they provide the raw stats you need, you're going to be pretty dang set. So those are kind of my hero suggestions for pod number 2. Hope you guys have a great time. I hope you guys all win and get all that great stuff. But those are my hero suggestions, and I hope that helped you out. And good luck in the tournament, everybody. All right, let's jump into pod number 3. This is Eyewitness News. Let's go over the setup. We have Charles Xavier, Professor of Crime, as the mastermind. One of my favorite ones, actually. Scheme, Invade the Daily Bugle News HQ. For the villain deck, we have X-Men Noir, Acolytes. And for the henchmen, we have Mr. Sinister Clones, probably my favorite henchman group. For the hero deck, the pre-selected heroes, we have Deathlock, Scarlet Spider, and Daredevil Noir. And Sentinel Squad 1 is going to be inside of the hero deck. Let's go over the special rules. If there are more than 3 villains in your starting HQ upon setup, you may shuffle your entire HQ back into your hero deck and fill the HQ again, just to help. Yeah, so just so you don't lose like right away, basically. Villains entering the HQ do not ambush. The Sentinel Squad 1 does have an ambush ability, so when they enter the HQ, you do not activate that ambush ability though. And then when you fight a Sentinel Squad in the HQ with none in the city, KO one of your heroes, then put the Sentinel Squad on the bottom of the villain deck. So it's going to kind of artificially increase the size of the villain deck, which is interesting. For the sets allowed, we have Messiah Complex, Noir, Paint the Town Red, and Shield. A lot of Paint the Town Red so far. I think Paint the Town Red has been in every single setup previously. Yep, 3 in a row right there. We'll see how many. I won't be shocked if Paint the Town Red ends up being a very common one. I feel like a lot of people own Paint the Town Red. All right, let's see what we can do. Let's go to Noir, and let's scroll down here. Okay, so Charles Xavier, Professor of Crime, has 8 HP, but he gets +1 attack for each bystander in the HQ and city. Master Strike, 4 heroes in the HQ, capture a hidden witness. That's going to be covered. That's going to be basically, you're going to have to recruit those hidden witnesses. I believe it costs 2 to recruit those hidden witnesses, and then you can recruit the hero underneath it. That's going to be rescuing bystanders. So we need a little bit of emphasis on being able to recruit those heroes or be able to swap out the heroes in the HQ to get rid of those hidden witnesses. And we could get some synergies with some bystander synergies because we're going to be getting those hidden witnesses through the mastermind. Let's see the next. Let's go over the Daily Bugle. That is going to be in the Paint the Town Red expansion, all the way down here. Okay, so Invade the Daily Bugle 8 News HQ setup. 8 twists. Add 6 extra henchmen from a single henchman group to the hero deck. Special rules: you can fight villains in the HQ. For some reason, whenever I read this previously, when I played this before, I thought the special rule says you can't fight villains in the HQ, and I'm not really sure why. I wonder if there's just some kind of the image of it messed up in my head. Twist: we're going to KO a hero from the HQ, put the highest attack villain from the city into the HQ space. When there are 5 villains in the HQ, evil is going to win. So we're going to have a lot of things stopping us from recruiting things. We're going to be having hidden witnesses. We're going to be having villains entering the HQ. So being able to get a cohesive strategy and a cohesive hero deck is probably going to be very, very difficult in this setup. So I feel like this is going to be a very frustrating one to play. I don't really see the fun level on this one being very high. So, okay. So the thing is, kind of none of those, I would say, we have a little bit in terms of we want to focus on a little bit of recruit to get rid of the hidden witnesses, but we also need the attack to fight for the invade, to fight the villains that are inside of the HQ. So kind of a wash right there. If we have a way to kind of cycle cards out of the HQ some way, that could be a strong strategy to kind of find a way to defeat these villains or defeat these heroes in a way that doesn't mean we have to spend our resources to fight them. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Let's move into. Let's see. Let's take a look at the Acolytes. That's one of the villain groups. It does ask of us a couple things. So in terms of the Acolytes, a lot of them have the Shatter ability, and lots of them have to do with recruiting. So for example, I was gonna say this name, but I can't say it. Inusion? I don't know who that is actually. Okay, so you can pay 2 recruit any number of times to shatter her, and that means their HP is gonna be halved. So pretty much all of these. Let's see, the first 3 and Random and Frenzy, we can spend recruit in order to reduce their HP. So once again, a little bit of push to focusing on recruit, and maybe we can find a way to weaponize recruit as well. Well, I guess fighting these is kind of weaponizing recruit in a sense. And then let's see. After that, I think we can just move right into the heroes, the pre-selected heroes. First one up is Deathlock. Deathlock is a The Deathlock is a very, very solid hero. It has some decent card draw, decent KOing abilities, and just decent stats all around. One thing that's nice about Deathlock is one thing it asks of us is it wants us to increase the shield level, which means sending our shield heroes into sending them undercover into our victory pile. Now we can use our starter cards to do that, which is great. But the one thing, it really only asks us to get to shield level 1, so this actually draws a card and gives us +1 attack for only 2 recruit. This is just a bonkers, really small and very efficient card, especially when it replaces itself. And so if we can get to shield level 1, we're pretty dang set right there. And then Headlock actually allows us to increase the shield level all by itself. Like, we don't need to activate in a certain way or anything like that. So Deathlock is a very solid hero. Lots of times when you deal with a shield level hero, you want to be able to have another hero to increase the shield level quicker. But with Deathlock, I feel like you don't really need that because he can do it on his own on a very consistent basis. It doesn't demand a lot of us. The one thing it does ask of us is it wants us to have some tech cards so we can activate Reanimate into service. And what's great is he provides it with a common card with Authorized Lethal Force. So right now, if we can get one more tech card at the common level to activate Reanimate into service on a consistent basis, I think we're going to be pretty dang set, and we won't have to bring another hero to increase the shield level. Okay, let's take a look at our second pre-selected hero. That's Scarlet Spider. Now, he does ask a couple things of us, but I would say he's pretty strong overall. Also, I've had, like, just looking at Perfect Hunter, costs 4, draws a card, and gives you 1 attack. So it's basically Deathlock's common, but you can also wall crawl, and just the cost difference is pretty intense. You're basically, yeah, I don't know, just looking at that, they're very similar cards, but to activate them, they just do different things. Either way, sorry, rant there. So let's take a look at Scarlet Spider here. The one thing, so a couple things it asks us, it wants us to have some instinct cards so we can activate Leap from Above. He does provide that with one of his common cards, which is great. And then Flip Out does want us to have some spider, I think they're called Spider Neighborhood Spider team. I can't remember what the team symbol is, but the Spider-Man team, basically, in order to draw a card. So we have a lot of card draw here in both of these commons, which is really great. Deathlock also provides some card draw with his common card as well. And what's nice about these is the wall crawl ability. For some reason I have a tough time with wall crawl. I always forget to put it on top of my deck, but getting access to these a lot quicker, very strong. So we just want to, we could probably bring along another Spider-Man team hero in order to increase our chances of drawing that card on a consistent basis, and probably one more instinct card wouldn't hurt in order to activate Leap from Above more consistently. Let's see, let's move on to our next one, and the next one is going to be okay, we have Spider-Woman actually. Oh no, wait, little spoiler for one of the heroes I'm going to suggest there. Nope, it's actually going to come from the Noir expansion, and we're going to have ourselves Daredevil Noir. Now, what's great about him is he does provide us with that little bit of top deck manipulation, which is going to help us, which just helps our deck just kind of run a little bit smoother. And we also have Scarlet Spider with those wall crawl abilities to go on top of the deck, so that we can use Daredevil Noir to know exactly, so that we'll know what's on top of it, so we can activate these abilities on a more consistent basis. He doesn't really ask much of us at all. He just wants us to know what's on top of our deck, and wall crawl can provide that for us. The one thing he does want us to have is Discover the Bodies, which wants us to have a covert card so we can start KOing our 0-cost cards really consistently. And having an uncommon card that provides a decent amount of recruit is going to be really great in this situation. Now, so we actually already have plenty of wait, do we have plenty of covert cards? No, we actually just have one with Balancing Act. So we could potentially grab another card that has covert abilities so we can activate this one a little bit more consistently as well. So just kind of looking at it, the things that that this setup is asking of us is maybe bring along an extra tech card, a Spider-Man team, another covert card, and then a little focus on recruitment as well. So let's see what the heroes we can come up with in order to give us the best success. Next one, the first one I'm going to suggest is, I know it's a shocker, Spider-Woman. So this is going to provide us with a little top deck manipulation in terms of radioactive spider, has wall crawl abilities to go on top, so that Daredevil we can use Daredevil cards in order to know what's exactly on top of our deck, and we can also use Spider-Woman's revealing the top card of the deck to looking for attack or recruit to know what's on top of our deck as well. So she's going to provide a lot of top deck manipulation and knowledge for us so that we can, maximize those cards as much as possible. The next one I'm going to suggest actually still comes from the Paint the Town Red expansion. I'm going to suggest Moon Knight here. So he's going to provide a tech card, which is going to help us with Deathlock, provide us with can provide us with a little bit of top deck knowledge and things like that. But he also provides a common card that can give us access to extra recruit. So that's good. They also have some wall crawl abilities to help with Daredevil. I mean, there's a lot of really great things about Moon Knight in this situation. So that's going to be another suggestion I'm going to make. The other option, this one is a little specific for the setup actually. So we're going to go with Angel Noir. So let me take a peek real quick. I guess Daredevil does provide us with an instinct card, and so does Scarlet Spider. So we should be able to activate Angel Noir's common card here to get that extra attack. Multi-talented is going to give us some top deck knowledge and manipulation with investigating. Now, Identical Twin Brother is a very solid card in this situation because when you play it, you get to bottom cards for the HQ, bottom cards from the HQ to the bottom of the hero deck, and that's going to get rid of those hidden witnesses for free. So I think this guy is going to be doing a good amount of work. If you see one of these cards, I think this is one of those cards. I think it doesn't look incredible, but in this specific situation, I think you can use those to get rid of those hidden witnesses at a more consistent rate and not have to use your resources in order to get rid of them through recruiting them. So those are my 3 suggestions for pod number 3. Hope you guys have a great time. Good luck in the tournament, and I hope you guys all see great success and all that good stuff. So good luck, everybody. All right, let's jump into pod number 4. 2-in-1 Lamashtu and Conditioner. Let's just go over the setup here real quick. It's not lining up exactly what I want. There we go. All right, so we have Lilith, Mother of Demons, as the mastermind. The scheme is going to be condition Logan into Weapon X. I love seeing these Weapon X setups as well. I haven't played a lot with that. I'm trying to play some more cards kind of off camera and just kind of get used to the new cards here in a little bit. For the villain deck, we have Lilin, the Lilin villain group, the Marauders, and for the henchmen, we have Maggie Goons. For the hero deck, our pre-selected ones are Wolverine X-Force, Yelena Belova, and Marrow, which is really, it's cool seeing some of these seeing the new ones, especially from the Weapon X expansion. For the special rules, you cannot choose Weapon X Wolverine as one of your heroes. So I believe that goes along with the scheme. So you can't choose one of these, which is a little rough actually. He was actually one of the first ones I looked at, and then I reread the special rule and I was like, dang. All right, so for the sets allowed, we have Black Widow, Dark City, Midnight Suns, and Weapon X. All right, let's jump into our mastermind here. So we're gonna look at Lilith, Mother of Demons. So 8 attack, but she's going to get +1 attack for each bystander in the KO pile. And then Master Strike, she's going to hunt for victims. And if she does KO one of the bystanders this way, each player is going to gain a wound. So not really anything we can do to kind of prevent this from happening. Just make sure that the city is clear of bystanders when you can. But like bringing along a specific hero class or a specific hero isn't really going to stop this from occurring. So it's just something we kind of have to accept and move on from. In terms of the Weapon X scheme that we're going to be playing with, we got ourselves. I love that they put custom artwork on these, by the way. We have wipe. Oh, no, that's not the right one. We have condition Logan into Weapon X. So the setup, 8 twists. There's going to be 8 twists in the build deck. We're going to include exactly 1 hero with Wolverine or Logan in its name. That's going to be one of the pre-selected heroes that we have for us right now. For twists 1, 3, and 5, it's going to induce Violent Rage. If you don't defeat an enemy worth 2 VP or more this turn, then after you draw a new hand at the end of this turn, each player discards down to 4 cards. Really rough, very difficult. For twists 2, 4, and 6, they're going to test the subject's healing factor. Each player has to discard a strength or an instinct hero or gain a wound. So that's asking us to have those heroes so we can prevent those wounds from happening. Twist 7, unleash Weapon X. For each Wolverine and or Logan hero card in the HQ, each player gains a wound. So yeah, that's pretty dang tough, I'm not gonna lie. But luckily, I think we only have Wolverine or Logan hero cards. So there's only one. We only have one of those in the HQ. So it's probably gonna give us like 2 wounds a piece. Is what I'm thinking. But if we can have some strength and hero cards to prevent those wounds from happening on twists 2, 4, and 6, that would definitely be a pretty big positive for us. In terms of the villain deck, we don't really need to stress about the villains or the henchmen. So we're just gonna skip right into the hero setups. The first one is gonna be actually it's from the Dark City one. Let's scroll all the way down. We're going to be looking at Wolverine X-Force. Really solid hero. This guy, this card, his uncommon card, No Mercy. I mean, drawing a card and KOing a card, absolutely beautiful. Totally worth not giving you any stats at all. Sudden Ambush just needs us to draw an extra card so we can get that +2 attack, giving us 4 attack with 1 card. Very powerful, and we already want to be drawing cards. So we're getting rewarded for doing something that's already incredible. And then the only thing it really asks of us is Animal Instincts. It just wants an instinct card to get that extra +2 attack, but it's going to draw a card on its own no matter what. So not a lot of demand, and any deck, pretty much any deck wants this in there. And I mean, even if you recruit Animal Instincts just to do the card draw, that's still fine. Like, there's nothing really wrong with that. So, and of course they activate each other as well. So pretty solid hero there. All right, let's take a look at the Black Widow expansion. One of my favorite expansions as well. We got Yelena. So The one thing she's kind of asking of us is the main one is an unveil identity. If we can activate it with an instinct card, we can unleash one of our heroes that are undercover. So if there's a hero inside of the victory pile, we can take them out of the victory pile and put it right into our hand. Now, Strike and Fade is going to be doing that on its own, and same with Twilight Ops. And also gives us a great way to KO cards by putting cards in our victory pile, increasing our VP, and also when you dodge this, you just get to draw a card. Really great. I think you're probably going to be playing Twilight Ops more than discarding it, because it does give you that 3 attack. But if you want to thin out your deck, get rid of some of your gray heroes, this is a great way to do it. Or you can do a combo of like dodge a card, play a card, or there's some great things you can do with that. So if we can find maybe another hero that allows us to put cards into our victory pile so that we can get them back with Unveil Identity or Twilight Ops, I mean, you could do some really fun stuff with this hero set. So yeah, that's kind of what this one is asking of us. Let's take a look at our last one, which is going to come from the Weapon X setup. And this could be Marrow. Really cool pull, by the way. Marrow's a really cool hero, in my opinion. So she has a lot to do with berserk abilities. She berserks herself by activating through strength cards for hyper adaptive skeleton, or with an X-Force hero with bone shards. And luckily we already have that with the Wolverine from the Dark City expansion. So I don't think we really need to worry about activating this. I think we could activate it already pretty consistently. Ostentatious, draw 2 cards, then put a card from your hand on top of the deck, and then you can use you can play this, then play hyper adaptive skeleton to berserk that card and get extra points from it. I mean, really cool little hero setup here. Very happy about that. So the one thing we want to do is we want to bring along some strength cards and maybe some synergies with berserk. So maybe put cards on top of our deck, or cards that have high printed attack or recruit values, things like that. So we got kind of a good little setup here. We're kind of looking for a little bit of extra card draw, so we can activate Wolverine's common card, and probably bring along another instinct hero, because right now Yelena has that, but she also wants to be activated by another instinct hero. So we want to bring at least 1 or 2 more instinct heroes at the common level so we can activate that consistently. If we can bring along another strength hero in order to activate hyper adaptive skeleton, I think that's going to be very important. And then maybe a little undercover synergies in there, so we can do a couple little different options. Okay, first hero I'm going to suggest is Domino. I think she's pretty generically strong, I would say, but Lucky Break does want us to have more X-Force heroes, so we can activate that versatile and draw a card, which is going to help us out with Wolverine's common card, and Wolverine can help activate this as well. Ready for Anything is an instinct card that can help activate, once again, Wolverine's card. But also what's great is Specialized Ammunition wants us to have cards that have both attack and recruit values, which Domino has, but also Marrow has in her common and her uncommon cards. So a little bit extra synergy in there in case that's kind of how the hero deck plays out. So I think Domino can do quite a bit in this situation. Pretty happy with that selection. Let's take a look at our next one. I don't have a ton of experience with this expansion, by the way, just so you guys know. So I'm kind of just basing it on just kind of reading the cards and seeing what's going on. Weapon H could be another good choice here. It's going to bring along a strength card, so that can help activate Marrow's common card. It also has a little bit of berserk synergies in there, so that we can doing some KOing and has some decent attack values printed on there as well. And then we can activate evolving abilities, decently consistent, I would say, with some of the instinct cards that we do have access to get that extra +1 attack. So yeah, I think that's a pretty solid pick right there. If you do want to kind of focus a little bit on the pulling cards from undercover, Yelena works really well with Red Guardian, because whenever you recruit these cards, they're going to go straight into your victory pile, and then you can use Yelena to undercover those cards just a little bit quicker. He does want us to have some covert cards, which Yelena does provide a little bit of it. But like I said, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if you choose Red Guardian, you kind of have to do Yelena and Red Guardian all in one deck, so you can really get the synergies flowing and get a lot of stats out of both of those guys. Now, I usually just do 3 suggestions, but just one that I kind of saw that I'm like, you know what, that might be able to do something. So we have Colossus here, and what's great about him, he has really high printed attack values on here for Berserk. So you could potentially recruit these and get them on top of your deck somehow, so that you can discard them to get that extra attack, and you can do that with Daredevil. He also provides an instinct card, so you can activate Wolverine's common card, and Backflip's going to put cards straight on top of your deck, and then hopefully you can use that to berserk cards. So just another little suggestion. I think my first 3 are probably better picks, but this is a good little two card combo that could work. All right, well, that is all my suggestions for pod number 4. Good luck to everybody in that. Hope these hero suggestions helped you out or got your brain kind of percolating to figure out which ones are going to work for you. Good luck. Hope everyone has a good time. All right, let's move on to pod number 5. This is Svartalheist. It's always fun trying to pronounce things you're not sure what it is. All right, let's take a look at the setup. For the Mastermind, we have Malekith the Accursed. The scheme is Steal the Weaponized Plutonium. For the villain deck, we have Dark Council, Subterranea, and Lethal Legion for the villains, and Hydra Base for the henchmen. For the hero deck, we have Angel, Thing, and the Warriors 3. No special rules we have to worry about for this one. Sets allowed are going to be Dark City, Fantastic Four, Heroes of Asgard, and Revelations. Let's jump right in and let's see what we're dealing with here. If I'm recalling correctly, yeah, Malekith is all about villainous weapons. So 8 HP. When a Master Strike is drawn, Malekith captures a villainous weapon from the city or from any player's control or discard pile. So those villainous weapons, you're not going to hold on to them. Then this Master Strike enters the city as a villainous weapon called Dark Spear that gives +2 attack. When you defeat a Dark Spear, it becomes a thrown artifact and gives you +2 attack when thrown. So not really too much we can prevent about this. He searches basically everything. The only place that villainous weapons are safe is basically in your hand. Or in your hand or right in your deck. If it's out on the field or in the discard pile, he's going to get a hold of this. So it's definitely kind of a tough mastermind just because his HP is going to be increasing by quite a bit. So we're going to be dealing with that, but not really too much we can do in order to stop it from occurring. Let's take a look at, let's see, that one's from Dark City. Okay, let's go to Dark City and let's take a look at our scheme that we're dealing with, which is Steal the Weaponized Plutonium. Always a little farther down than I remember. There we go. Okay, so the setup is 8 twists. They're going to be representing plutonium. Add an extra villain group. Twist. This plutonium is captured by the closest villain to the villain deck. If there are no villains in the city, KO this plutonium. Either way, play another card from the villain deck. So it's going to speed up the deck by a little bit, but we do have that extra villain group to beef up the deck a little bit more. Special rules, each villain gets +1 attack for each plutonium it has. When a villain with any plutonium is defeated, shuffle that plutonium back into the villain deck. Evil's going to win when 4 plutonium have been carried off by villains. So we're going to have some very high HP villains inside of the city with villainous weapons and this plutonium flowing around. So we can't really prevent this. It's basically just fight and try and keep the city clear. So we're actually going to talk about one of the villain groups, which is Lethal Legion. Now, there are 8 different ones in here, so there's only 1 copy of each of them. But for example, M'Baku and White Gorilla Cult, they all ask us to have tech cards in there, and it deals with us discarding those cards, which can be a little rough. And then we have Laser Maze and Living Laser. They want us to have range cards, or else we're going to be getting some wounds here. So I wouldn't say it's huge priority because there's only 1 copy of each of those in there, but still something kind of to keep in mind while we're building our hero deck here. All right, let's take a look at the pre-selected heroes. We have Angel. Great hero, one of my absolute favorites. He just has a lot of drawing cards, discarding cards, some really good synergy within there. Diving catch is kind of the main mechanic where if you draw with high speed chase or it's in your hand already, you can discard diving catch, draw 2 more cards, rescuing bystanders. You also get +1 attack equal to the card. Let's see, you may discard a card, you get +1 attack, X attack equal to that card's cost. So we want to have some higher costing cards so we can activate this and get a little extra damage out of there. We can also find ways to discard this through other ways like Hyperspeed or Berserk, things like that, so we can get that ability. Overall, Angel's a very powerful card that really just kind of synergizes with himself. And yeah, he's very, very good. Let's take a look at our next one, and that is going to be Thing from the Fantastic Four. So the main thing with Thing is his Knuckle Sandwich and Crime Stopper just kind of work on their own. You don't really have to worry about them too much. We do have some high printed values on here, which is really good to keep in mind. The big one is it started on Yancey Street. If it gives you 2 recruit, and if you activate it with another Fantastic Four hero, you get +2 recruit. The card can give you 4 recruit all by itself. That's very good. I mean, that leads you to half of its Clobbering Time rare card. I mean, this thing will get you rare cards as long as you can pull them from the hero deck. So not asking a ton of us. We basically just want another Fantastic Four hero so we can activate that just a little bit more consistently. All right, our third pre-selected hero is the Warriors 3. Now, they kind of have a cool little mechanic where they all kind of help each other out. For example, Fandral wants us to have a covert card so we can draw a card. Hogan wants us to have a strength card to KO a card from your hand or discard pile. And Voice Thag, I think, he wants us to have an instinct card to get Bridge Conquerors 3, and all 3 of those hero classes are within this set. So I would say you kind of want to focus on having a strength card and a covert card in order to activate these 2 abilities, because these are the common ones. Specifically some strength, I would say, so you can activate this one, because this is probably the most powerful, one of the more powerful abilities of these choices. Actually, both of these are probably the most powerful ones right here, because this draws card and this KOs cards, 2 things you want to be doing anyway. Oops, sorry. Okay, okay. Anyways, what's going on? There we go. So a little bit of bump. We want to have some strength cards in order to activate Hogan the Grim. Okay, let's go over our hero suggestions. I would say this one was a little difficult because I feel like it's asking a lot of us, and it's kind of providing things that we need. You know, it's like, we kind of have it there. We're just kind of smooth out the edges, things like that. So I did find this one a little difficult. So I feel like there's a lot of ways you can go. One of them what I did think about was playing Ronan. He does have a mysterious identity, can be any class when you play it, so that can help with the Warriors 3, depending on what you get out of the hero deck, which is really great. Storm of Arrows of Arrows is going to be hyper speeding 4 cards. That is discarding cards from the top of your deck. So if you do hit Angel's common strength card, you will be able to activate that ability, which is very, very strong. And then Haunted by Loss, it's activated by, activated by instinct cards. Yeah, I have some instinct cards with Thing. I have it with the Warriors 3, so we can activate Haunted by Loss to do Dark Memories, and with the hyperspeed ability from Storm of Arrows, and we're also discarding cards with Angel. So I think there's enough things going on here that it should be able to activate on a pretty consistent basis there. The other option, in terms of kind of going along with the discard theme, was going to be going with Photon. So you can play this discard cards. It would probably be that Angel card to draw more cards. You also get the hyperspeed, once again activating Angel's common card, and then you get +1 attack for each card you discarded from your hand this turn. So pretty solid choices, I would say. Also gives us some range cards so we can help prevent some of the stuff coming from the villain deck, things like that. Like I said, this one was a little more difficult for me to figure out, but I think Photon could be a decent pick as well. If you really want to activate Yancey Street, I would say Invisible Woman is kind of the generically strong, one of the generically strong heroes inside of the Fantastic Four expansion. I mean, Disappearing Act is extremely powerful. Being able to KO any card from your hand or discard pile, and then you can use your recruit to do that. I mean, this is an incredible card. And then the 4 costs, we actually do have, we do have a handful of cards in our common slot that do cost 4 or more already. So we should be able to activate 4 of a kind on a really consistent basis, and draw an extra, and getting extra bystanders can never hurt. I also put down Thor. Why did I put down Thor? It's just kind of funny. Okay, let me look. Let me think here. So I put down Thor. I wrote worthy synergies and ranged heroes. So ranged heroes, what's that going to do for me? You're getting some live stuff going on right now. So ranged heroes are going to help prevent things happening from the villain deck, which isn't all that incredible. It does give us a strength card in order to activate, but it's at the uncommon slot. I'm not 100% sure why I put Thor down as a suggestion for this one. If I'm going to be straight, you guys can look into my process. Just so you know, I have this all written in a notebook, and the more I wrote, the worse my handwriting got. So either way, so yeah, I don't know why Thor was on the suggestion list. Okay, the one thing I noticed that I didn't really have was maybe a common card. It's for strength to activate Hogan the Grim on a consistent basis. I mean, Thing does provide that for us with Knuckle Sandwich, which is pretty decent. Let's see. You could probably do Mr. Fantastic as another tech card. Yeah, as some tech cards to help fight the villain deck. Like I said, you're getting some live thinking in this one. I don't know, man. Like I said, this one was a little. This is another one that was a little difficult for me to figure out. Well, either way. So I mean, I feel pretty good about the Photon and the Ronin selection. But the other half of it, I'm not 100% sure exactly what will be the best route to do. So sorry, Pod 5. I hope I don't feel like I left you out as like an abandoned child or something like that. But sometimes it's hard to come up with great suggestions for this one. So either way, guys, with what I talked about, I hope you guys, good luck to everybody. I hope the hero suggestions I did made either got your brain kind of percolating in terms of what would be the best pick, or you can use those suggestions and hopefully that leads to success. So good luck to everybody out there. All right, everybody, let's jump into pod number 6. This is the Hood of Wall Street. For the Mastermind, we have the Hood. For the scheme, we have Subjugate Earth with Mega Corporations. For the villain deck, we have Hood's Gang, Poisons. For the Henchman group, we have Mandarin Rings. For the hero deck, the pre-selected ones, we have Angel Noir, Doctor Doom 2099, Ronin, and Venomized Doctor Strange. For the sets that are allowed, we have Marvel 2099, Noir, Revelations, and Venom. Let's take a look at our Mastermind and our scheme here. The Hood, here we go. Okay, 9 HP, has Dark Memories, so he's going to get +1 attack for every single class that's in your discard pile. So the way we can kind of counteract that is we want to kind of focus in on 1 to 2, 3 hero classes, so that, because if we have all 5 of those hero classes in the deck, his HP is going to be increased up to 14, which is definitely really difficult to take out. So that's just kind of telling us we want to narrow down how many hero classes we have in the hero deck. So for the Master Strike, each player is going to reveal the top 6 cards of their deck, discard all non-gray heroes revealed, and put the rest back in any order. Very,
Very frustrating. Very frustrating, because not only does that increase his HP, which means you're probably not going to take him out that turn, but it also, especially in kind of the mid game, early game, it just completely means like okay, I'm going to be drawing all gray starting cards next turn. So pretty difficult one. The other way you can kind of counteract Dark Memory is if you can just have each of your deck kind of focus in on 2 to 3 different hero classes. That way his HP can't increase as much. Let's see. Let's move into our scheme, which is in Marvel 2099, and looks like, let's see. All right, here we go. So setup, we're going to add 1 extra hero. There's going to be 11 twists in the villain deck. Twist: put the hero from the HQ space under the bank into a Mega Corp domination stack, domination stack matching its hero class off the board. Do the listed effect for that Mega Core. So depending on which hero you put inside of one of these stacks, you're going to end up doing one of these abilities. And I'm not gonna go through all of those, but just realize most of them are pretty dang bad. But Evil's going to win when a single Mega Core has 3 dominations. So what this scheme is actually telling us is so what that means is if we end up with 3 strength heroes in that domination pile, we're going to end up losing. So what this means is we want a very large variety of hero classes. Now, in this instance, when we have a mastermind that tells us we want to have a few hero classes, and a scheme that wants us to have a lot of different hero classes, we're gonna, at least in this situation, we're gonna go towards the scheme, because that is how we're gonna lose. We can actually lose from this out of nowhere whenever we draw a twist, and there's 11 in there, so got to keep an eye on that one. Unfortunately, this is definitely one that you can lose out of nowhere. So just kind of be prepped, be ready, be willing to play that second game in order to get a better score if possible. So let's see. Let's take a look at the rest of this. It looks like we're just gonna be jumping right into the heroes. Let's jump into our first one, which is Angel Noir. Now, he's pretty solid. I wouldn't say he's absolutely incredible, but he doesn't really ask too much of us. Impetuous Dive is the only thing that's saying, hey, I need some instinct heroes in order to activate to get that +1 attack, which sounds little. Sorry, I had a slight interruption there. But basically, Impetuous Dive wants us to have an instinct hero so we can activate that +1 attack, which is quite, 1 attack doesn't seem like a lot, but going from 2 attack to 3 attack, that's a pretty big jump, honestly. And then Multi-Talented is going to let us investigate for a hero class we pick, so if we can kind of focus our decks and know what exactly hero classes are in there, we can draw a card with that pretty reliably. Identical Twin Brother usually has some interesting synergies with like Hidden Witnesses and other cards that affect the HQ, but this should let us be able to cycle through the HQ a little bit better and kind of dig for the cards we want. So Angel Noir, not asking too much of us, but doesn't really provide a ton of power, I would say. Next pre-selected hero is Dr. Doom 2099. Pretty solid hero overall. I don't have a ton of experience playing with this expansion yet. I'm planning to play through these soon, but what we want to be doing is getting ranged heroes inside of our victory pile so that we can activate these Cybermon abilities. Now, what's really great about this, I would say Subvert this new feature is really great. So play it. Let's see. So you can play this, get the 2 recruit, and then you can send it undercover along with another card, and then you get that extra recruit, right? Let's see. You send this card, this, and a card from your hand or discard pile undercover. Yeah, it's great. So if you recruit one of these, play it then right away, all of a sudden you have a Cybermon ranged in there, so that Doom Blast can do that extra +1 attack permanently, basically for the rest of the game, which is amazing. And then if we do that a couple more times, then Doom Blast is going to end up giving us 5 attack every time you play it. Very strong. The one thing it is asking of us is with his uncommon card, which means we want to have another tech card so that we can be able to send more cards undercover. Wow, this is a really great hero set. And then we also probably want maybe one other common card that's ranged so that we can actually for example, we could play Subvert this new future, send this undercover, and maybe another ranged hero so we can bump up that Cybermon up to 3 as quickly as possible. So pretty happy with this. Like I said, not a lot of demands, which is good, and just a really solid hero set overall. All right, next up we have Ronan. This is another pretty awesome hero set, I would say, mainly because of Mysterious Identity. This card, it can be played as any team and any class icon, which is amazing. It makes it so flexible. Any deck is going to want that. Any deck is going to want that because it's going to activate basically every single card in there. He also provides us with another ranged hero, so we could potentially use that along with Dr. Doom to get that Cybermon boost really quickly, and we should be able to draw a card pretty frequently with that hyperspeed. Or with that activated ability. Haunted by Loss,
does kind of give us that push to have a lot of variety in terms of hero classes we have, which is what the scheme wants us to do anyways, so we can get that boost from the Dark Memory. So Ronin's pretty well set up, I would say here. We also have Angel's going to provide another instinct hero, so we can activate Haunted by Loss. So right now the team is kind of rounding itself out, which is really, really nice. Let's take a look at our last one, which is going to be Venom from Venom. Let's see, was it Venom from Venom? Sorry, I'm just double checking here really quick. Venomized Doctor Strange. Okay, good thing I saw that. Let's go for Venomized Doctor Strange. So once more, we have plenty. So he's provided us with 2 more ranged cards. So Doctor Doom is really set and ready to go. We really don't have to worry about him that much. We don't have another tech card in order to activate it, except for Ronin, of course. But either way, Venomized Doctor Strange wants us to have some ranged heroes so we can activate See Future Timelines. And that's basically set and ready to go. And then Complete the Grand Ritual just wants us to have 4-cost cards and 2-cost cards. So just taking a look at our numbers real quick. Let me see if I can take a look at that. We have a decent amount of 4-cost already from what I can see here. We have 2, we have 3 common cards that are going to cost 4. So that's going to be covered. But in terms of the 2 costs, we only have 1. So we're kind of looking for maybe another hero that does have a 2 cost so that we can activate Complete the Grand Ritual at a decent pace. So let's take a look at some of the heroes that we should be able to that's going to provide us with what we need. Let's see. And just go over real quick, kind of the things that we're looking for. We're kind of looking for some common instinct heroes so that we can activate Ronin's uncommon card and also Angel Noir's common card, which would be good. And then we're also looking for some tech cards so we can activate Doctor Doom's uncommon card as well. And also we kind of want to just get a variety of hero classes in there as well. So the first hero that I passed by and thought that would be a decent pick is actually going to be Hellcat here. It does provide us with 2 common instinct cards so that we can activate Angel Noir's card and Ronin's uncommon card. And overall, she's just a really strong hero. Some good little card draws. She gets to let's see. Oh yeah, no, this is good actually. Part-time P. Reveal the top card of any deck. If it's not a Scheme Twist, you may put it on the bottom of that deck. So you can kind of, well, actually, I guess that's kind of strange. I guess you can kind of look on top of those cards and put them on the bottom. So you can do that with your own deck. You can do that with basically any deck out there, even the hero deck. That's interesting. Nice and flexible. But she has a lot of card draw built into her kit, which is really, really nice. So yeah, Hellcat, I think, could do some work. She also has a 2-costing card at common, so we can activate Doctor Strange's uncommon card nice and consistently. Yeah, no, I think she could be a really good pick for us. The other thing is what we have so far, they're not asking too much of us. So we can kind of go for some generically strong heroes. For example, Venom Rocket, I think, would be a decent pick here. Provides us with a common instinct card, also a tech card, and also a range card. So there's a nice little variety in there to increase the number of different classes we have. But Venom Rocket, let's see, Spring the Trap is going to help us activate that uncommon card with Doctor Doom. And then same with Hungry for Action as an instinct card should help us with Angel Noir and also the other card that I have to keep mentioning 400 times and I can't remember what it is right now. Ronin's uncommon card as well. So that's another good pick there. And then like I said, we can kind of just go for some generically strong ones. So I think even Carnage here could be another good pick. Once again, another instinct card, but also brings strength into the mix, which currently we only have one other strength card. So one other strength common card. So bringing in another one and kind of spreading everything out should help us not lose to the scheme as quickly as well. And once again, Carnage is just kind of a generically strong hero as well. You don't really have to do too much in order to activate them. You don't really have to have specific cards in order to make him work. You just need to kind of play the game, and eventually he's going to do everything you need. So those are the 3 heroes I have suggested for you guys. Good luck to everybody in Pod 6. I hope everything goes well for you, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, let's jump into Pod number 7. This is going to be Madeline Liar. So the mastermind is going to be Madeline Pryor, Goblin Queen. The scheme is Weave a Web of Lies. The villain deck is going to be Limbo, Underworld. For the henchmen, we have the Modocs. For the hero deck, the pre-selected ones we have is Black Cat, Invisible Woman, and Proxima Midnight. Pretty interesting hero setup right there. For the sets that are allowed, we will have access to Dark City, Fantastic Four, Paint the Town Red, and Secret Wars Volume 1. Let's jump into and take a peek at our mastermind and our scheme. And let's see. I always forget the masterminds are actually up here on this website. Let's see. Where do they go? There we go. Okay, so we have Madeline Pryor, Goblin Queen. She has 10 HP, which is pretty high. And bystanders captured by Madeline are demon goblin villains with 2 attack. You can fight them to rescue them as bystanders. You can't fight her while she has any demon goblins. So
we're going to have to invest in order to get to her so we can actually start taking out her tactics. When a Master Strike is drawn, she's going to capture 4 bystanders. And if she already had any bystanders before that, then each player is going to gain a wound. So this is one of those schemes. This is one of those masterminds you kind of have to keep an eye on and remember that, oh, I have to spend this, leftover 2 attack in order to take out these goblins as quickly as, at a nice consistent rate. Because there's sometimes, you can pass the turn with 2 attack and just kind of forget that fact. So just kind of keep this in mind. Now, she's not really asking too much of us though, which is good. We just have to kind of keep an eye on it and do the best we can. Let's take a look at Weave of Web of Lies, which is from the Paint the Town Red expansion. Let's see where, there you go. Weave a Web of Lives. So there's going to be 7 twists in the villain deck. Special rules: whenever you defeat a villain, you may pay one recruit. If you do, rescue a bystander. You can't fight the mastermind unless you have a bystander in your victory pile for each twist next to the mastermind. Twist, stack this twist next to the mastermind. So this is basically going to be a timer scheme. Actually, this setup is quite easy because the mastermind is going to provide those bystanders for you. So you really don't need to actually spend any recruit. Like when you defeat a villain, spend 1 recruit. You really don't need to do that. You really just need to spend your attack fighting Madeline. But if you have leftover 1, go for it. More bystanders mean more victory points, and you can get more special bystanders. Actually, let me take a peek. What this might be. Okay, so you do have a couple special bystanders in this setup. Get some KOing there from wounds and from just any card you want. Bank, a news reporter, drawing cards. Bank's gonna give you a little more recruit. Not too shabby. You're probably not gonna get a ton of extra special bystanders there, but still. One thing we could do is the one thing this does tell us is Madeline prioritizes bystanders, and Weave a Web of Lives lets us rescue more bystanders. So if we can bring along a hero that actually benefits from that, I think that could really give us a big boost in order to win this setup very quickly. Taking a look at these, looks like we're just going to have to take a quick peek at, let's go to Dark City. We're just going to take a look at one villain group really quick, and it's actually just 1 card within the villain group, because this one already hits me. So Underworld is one of the heroes in here. We don't really need to worry about Dracula, Zazel, or Lilith. But Blackheart, man, this card, because this thing could potentially hand out, if you're playing 2-handed, that means this thing could potentially hand out 6 wounds if you do. Oh, actually, I guess it's only 4, because you have 1 on the ambush, 1 on the fight, and 1 on the escape. So it's kind of a pain in the rear, honestly. It's really nice to bring along a hero that is a Marvel Knight so we can counteract this guy. This guy is really a huge pain in the rear. So much that I even mentioned him right now. Let's take a look at our heroes that we have pre-selected so far. First one up is going to be good old Black Cat. She's definitely not that powerful. She doesn't do a ton for it. Casual Bank Robbery is kind of like a slightly better Maria Hill. With Wall Crawl on there, but yeah, I don't know. She's just not that strong. The one thing that she does do is she gives us some top deck knowledge, which is really nice, and a little manipulation with Jinx. But the one thing that we do want is we want to have cards that have high printed attack values. Let's see, reveal the top card of any player's deck. You get attack equal to that card's printed attack plus its printed recruit and printed attack. So we want to have high printed attack values and recruit values on cards so that Pickpocket can actually dish out a little bit of damage. And with the Wall Crawl abilities, that can lead to some nice little synergies, because then we'll know what's on top of our deck if we're doing like What If or other things like that. Let's see. The next one we're going to be taking a peek at is going to be in Secret Wars Volume 1. We're going to be taking a look at Proxima Midnight. She is a very strong, pretty generically strong hero, I would say. She's nice and contained hero. She basically operates on her own, which is really good. The cards don't really ask too much of you. And we also have a dual inspiration through power. It gives us a dual class card, and it gives us recruit and attack. So pretty solid there, I would say. The one thing it's asking of us, it wants us to have some instinct cards to activate General of the Black Order to get that +3 recruit, which is quite a lot. A card that gives you 3 recruit and 3 attack. Very happy with that. And then Master Combatant wants us to have cards that have attack and recruit values on there, which is good because that's basically what Black Cat wants as well. I mean, if we play Pickpocket and we choose Inspiration through Power, we're going to be getting 2 attack because we have 1 recruit and 1 attack in the printed section. So 2 cards are kind of asking us to do pretty much the same thing. So nice. It's kind of getting nice and well-rounded. Let's take a look at our other, I totally skipped over Invisible Woman. Let's take a look at Invisible Woman next. Invisible Woman is another really great hero. Disappearing Act is probably top 10 best cards in the whole game, I would say. It's just so flexible, being able to discard any card from hand or discard pile.
That includes wounds, which is good. I mean, if you just play this and KO one card, you should be pretty dang happy with that. 4 of a kind isn't too hard to activate. She does come with 3 cards that all cost 4. And I believe, let's see, let me take a quick peek here. Proxima Midnight does have a 4-cost card at common. Same with Black Cat. Really, is Black Cat's? That does cost 4. Oh, that's terrible. But yeah, we have plenty of 4-costing cards in order to activate 4 of a kind, so we don't really need to worry about that one too much. And then Unseen Rescue can rescue a couple more bystanders. So once again, it's kind of emphasizing the fact, like, if we could bring along heroes that really benefit from heroes being rescued or bystanders being rescued, we're going to be able to trigger those cards quite often. So let's take a look and see what heroes we can suggest to elevate this one. We're going to go to Secret Wars for this one, and we're actually going to look at a card I usually don't suggest, and it's Black Bolt. Black Bolt is interesting that he does have, one of his common cards doesn't have any text in it at all, which is Speak No Words. But what's really interesting about this, what's good about this is we have some cards that have both attack and recruit values on it, so that it works well with Proxima Midnight. He also has some high printed attack values, so Pickpocket can actually do some work on this. I mean, Speak No Words, it's also a dual class card, which is good. But if you Pickpocket and reveal a Speak No Words, you get 3 attack off of a 1-costing card. That's pretty dang solid. So pretty happy with that. I think this is one of the rare moments that I think Black Bolts can actually do a really good job. Let's move on to the next one, and I think this one's pretty obvious, and I think this is an opportunity we can take in order to activate these really often. We got Jean Grey here, great hero setup. She wants us to rescue bystanders. Read your thoughts is going to give you just recruit on recruit on recruit. If you combine this with Invisible Woman's uncommon card, you can really bump up your VP totals, which is going to be good because we're in a tournament. We want to get our VP values as high as possible. And then Mind Over Matter is going to draw you a card every time you do that. I mean, come on, like, you can't go wrong here. And the best thing about Mind Over Matter, you draw a card for every time you rescue a bystander, and it gives you 4 attack. I mean, okay, so you play Mind Over Matter, gain that 4 attack, spend all 4 of that hitting 2 of the goblins on Madeline Pryor, and then you get the draw 2 cards. I mean, so great. Plus a little flavorful in there as well. So I think Jean Grey would be a great pick. I think, let's see, let me take a peek. So the one thing she does ask is to have some X-Men heroes, and currently we don't have any that are suggested. So I think another great hero you could bring along with Jean Grey, and this is kind of the one I suggest you should do. It's going to be, where are you? Bishop. Bishop and Jean Grey work really well together. He's an X-Men hero, and he wants us to have covert cards, which Jean Grey can provide, along with Invisible Woman as well. Bishop is all about KO in your cards, so you can whatever the cost is going to draw you a card, which is really strong, and then you can KO any card from your hand or discard pile. Every time you KO a card, Absorbent Energies is going to give you more recruit, which you can then use to get better heroes and all that good stuff. And you can use that recruit in order to when you fight a villain, you can pay that 1 extra recruit to rescue a bystander and triggering everything all over again. I think I think Bishop and Jean Grey is kind of the way to go, but Black Bolt, definitely there's an opportunity there as well. You could possibly do Black Bolt and Bishop. That wouldn't be too great of a pick. I think all 3 of these really can cycle, and you can pick any of the 2 combinations that I think you're going to do pretty dang good. All right, so pod number 7. Hope you guys have a great time in this tournament. Good luck to everybody with this setup. I think you guys got, honestly, I think you guys got a pretty smooth sailing one in my opinion. But anyways, good luck to you guys. All right, everybody, let's jump into pod number 8. This is a Haunt of Fire and Ice. For the Mastermind, we have Zarathos. For the Scheme, we have War of the Frost Giants. For the Villain deck, we have the Fallen, Taskmaster's Thunderbolts, and for the Henchmen, we have Sentinels. For the heroes that we have pre-selected, it's going to be Dr. Voodoo, Lady Sif, and Wong, Master of the Mystic Arts. Now, special rules. Note, despite that the Henchmen, for special rules, note that despite Henchmen, core heroes are not available for hero selection. Remember that. With the sets that are allowed, we have Black Widow, Doctor Strange and the Shadows of Nightmare, Heroes of Asgard, and Midnight Suns. Really great sets allowed there, especially in Black Widow and Midnight Suns, 2 of my absolute favorite ones. Let's jump in and let's take a peek at our Scheme and our Mastermind. Zarathos is actually a pretty fun one. So he is going to have 7 HP, which is pretty low, honestly. Master Strike. If any hero in the HQ are haunted, each player gains a wound. Then, if Zarathos is not already haunting, he haunts the highest unhaunted hero in the HQ. So there is quite a bit of, you have to fight him kind of multiple times. He's kind of got that Mysterio kind of effect where he's like, the HP is really low, but you have to fight him multiple times because you have to get him out. You have to exercise him from the HQ, get him back to the mastermind section, and then you can fight him in order to get his mastermind tactics. So he doesn't really ask too much of us. We just had to fight him multiple times, which is fine. He's actually really fun. I'm a huge fan of him. Okay, let's scooch on over to the
let's switch on over to the scheme here, which is War with the Frost Giants here. All right, so there's 9 twists in the villain deck, and from twist 1 to 7, this twist enters the city as a Frost Giant Invader, a villain worth 6 BP with 6 attack, and the ability, if you are not worthy, this gets 4 attack. So we want to be worthy. So that's what's asking of us, because that HP is going to go up to 10. And it would be nice if we can kind of move these around, because in twist 8 and 9, same effect, then a Frost Giant Invader from each player's victory pile enters the city. So it's going to push that city pretty dang hard. But Evil's going to win when there are 5 Frost Giant Invaders in the city and or escape pile. So we want to be worthy, which means we have to have cards that cost 5 or more. And if we can kind of move them around so we can prevent them from escaping, that would probably be a very solid pick there. So not asking too much of us so far. Taking a look at our options here. All right, let's take a quick peek at just one of the villain groups really quick. We're going to be looking at the Fallen. Fallen doesn't ask too much of us in terms of Atrocity, Metatris, and Patriarch, but Salome, Sorceress Supreme, if she does escape, she turns into a Mastermind, and she does want us to have some Marvel Knight heroes, or else we're going to have to discard, or else we're going to be gaining wounds. So just a little something to kind of keep in mind. It's not really too big of a deal, because you just need to fight this thing before it escapes, basically. All right, jumping into the heroes that are pre-selected, we have Dr. Voodoo. He's pretty, I would say he's pretty underrated, I would say. People, I don't know, I feel like people look at him and they're just like, I don't know, there's a lot of hoops to jump through, but if you really kind of break the cards down, I feel like they do quite a lot. So the one that he kind of asks 2 things of us. In terms of commune with the spirit world, we can discard an artifact we control, or 3 cards from our hand, and we can KO a card. So if we can have some artifacts out on the field or in our hands, we can use this and start just KOing cards, on a pretty consistent basis, I would say. And it's very flexible to any card from your hand or discard pile, which is great. And the Medallion of Menelaus, he wants us to have multiple hero classes, because when we use this ritual artifact, we get +1 attack for each hero class we have, which is very strong. What was it? You have to have at least 3 hero classes in order to do this. But I mean, this is going to grant us 3 attack, could be 4, could be 5. And honestly, if it just provides us 3 on a very consistent basis, we're going to be pretty happy with this. And he comes with 3 different hero classes himself. So Dr. Voodoo is pretty set up. I would say we just want to be able to have probably a few other artifacts, and let's see if we can increase the variety of hero classes that are available to us. The next one up is actually going to already kind of do that for us. Let's take a look. We have Lady Sif as one of our heroes, and she does provide us with 2 artifacts, one at the common slot, one at the uncommon, and she provides instinct cards, which is going to increase the variety we have, because Dr. Voodoo didn't have instinct cards. So, and then we get a little benefit with Weapon Master, being able to give us +2. This card will give us 4 attack if we control any artifacts. So pretty solid there, and we can prevent some wounds with Winged Helm. So already we kind of already have 2 heroes that work pretty decently well with each other, which is really nice. Let's take a look at our 3rd hero, which is going to be Wong, Master of the Mystic Arts, I believe. There you are. So pretty solid hero. He has a decent amount of card draw in there. He does want us to have some even costing heroes so that his Sunlight ability can go off for that +1 extra attack. But if we can't do that, we can still activate it through a range card to get that +1 attack. And then we get the draw card with Bridge Between Dimensions, as long as the bridge is empty, which shouldn't be too difficult, I would say. And then Seal the Rift is either going to draw some extra cards or give us quite a bit of attack to keep the bridge nice and clear. So overall, pretty solid. We just want to look for maybe one more common card that is a ranged card, so we can activate Searing Shards of Sunlight on a very consistent basis. So let's take a look at some of our options here. The other thing, just as a quick summary, we want to be worthy. We want to have a handful of more range cards. That's basically it. Let's see. And then just maybe a little variety. But we already do have a decent amount of artifacts. Maybe one more. We'll see. But let's see. Let's take a look at... let's take a look. Where are you? Doctor Strange. I think the Vishanti could fit pretty decent in this section. So we do have a 5-costing card with Hogoth, which is really nice. A card that can grant us 4 attack, which is really good. Now we might be gaining some wounds from this, but we do have Valkyrie's uncommon card to prevent those wounds, which is good. And Oster is going to do that as well, being able to prevent any wounds we gain from Demonic Bargain. So I think we're pretty well set up here. Also, Agamotto does give us another range card, which is good. It does want one itself in order to be activated, but that does kind of go into the pool. Also, the Vishanti also provide us with 3 different hero classes. So once again, a little more variety for Dr. Voodoo to be activated on a more consistent basis. Let's take a look at Thor here. he's all about being worthy. So we want to have 5 costing cards or more, and so that we can be worthy. And we already have a decent amount of cards that actually provide that for us, I believe. Let's see, Dr. Voodoo's uncommon. We have Lady Sith's common card, which is good, and Wong's uncommon card as well. So to increase that up, Divine Lightning is going to give us another 5 costing card, so we can be worthy for that. And then as long as we are the worthy, which we want to be anyways, Test of Virtue is going to give us a little boost in attack as well. And then Mjolnir is going to give us an attack for every single range card we have, which is going to go really well with Wong as well. So I think Thor's could be a pretty decent pick. The other one, I would say, from Midnight Suns, one little note about Midnight Suns, there's a lot of heroes in here that are kind of just generically strong. So you could really pick anything out of this set. But Blade Daywalker does a pretty decent job of this. So he does provide us with Ride by Moonlight, which is going to help us be worthy. It also gives us 3 different hero classes. So we can help with Dr. Voodoo's common card. And then he also can move villains around in the city so that we can activate these patrol abilities on a consistent basis. But it also helps us kind of push those the villains that the scheme is creating, so we can prevent them from escaping and end up losing. So I think Daywalker can do a very, very solid job in this situation. All right, those are the 3 heroes that I am suggesting for pod number 8. Good luck to everybody in this setup. I think this one actually looks pretty fun. I'm actually interested. This, I have my own setup I have to play, but this is the one that I'm like, you know what? I might actually play this. This sounds like a really fun setup. So good luck to everybody there, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, let's jump into pod number 9. This is Where the Hell is Strange. And just to note, the setup was designed by Spring 2024 tournament 3rd place winner, Oli Rocky-Top. So congratulations to you for winning the last spring tournament, and also getting to design this setup, which is pretty cool. Let's go over the setup. We have a Zombie Scarlet Witch as the mastermind. We have Marvel Zombies as the scheme. The villain deck has Zombie Avengers, Lords of the Netherworld, and Vibranium Liberator drones, and also Doctor Strange Supreme, which is going to go along with Marvel Zombies. Let's see. So the hero deck, the pre-select ones, we have is Ghost Rider, Peter Parker Homecoming, and Punisher. Pretty solid heroes, actually. Peter Parker Homecoming and Punisher are probably going to work decently well together. For the sets that are allowed, we have Dark City, Doctor Strange and the Shadows of Nightmare, Marvel Studios What If, and Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's jump into the setups here. We're going to be hanging around in the What If section of the database here. All right, let's take a look at the mastermind. We have Zombie Scarlet Witch. So he has 9 HP, which is, just below kind of the difficult area. Zombie Scarlet Witch gets +1 attack for each hero with an odd number cost you play this turn. So we want to avoid cards that have that odd number cost, because that is pretty big pain, to be honest. Always leads is going to be the Zombie Avengers. Let's see. Master Strike, cross-dimensional zombie rampage, so we could potentially be handing out a decent amount of wounds. And then Rise of the Living Dead. So Rise of the Living Dead, the 2 ways I know to counteract this on a pretty consistent basis is either to send cards undercover or to rescue bystanders. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking for in terms of being able to counteract her. This is a pretty difficult mastermind to fight. I don't really envy this setup, I'm not gonna lie. Let's take a look at this scheme, which is going to be the Marvel Zombies scheme. Nice little combination here. Let's see where we are. There we go. Okay, so this one is going to be a little rough. So there's going to be 4 twists in the villain deck, which is pretty low, but you have to include exactly 1 villain group with Rise of the Living Dead, which we do have now. Add 8 random cards from an extra hero to the villain deck. Special rules, hero cards from the villain deck are zombie villains with attack equal to their cost +1. So you got to remember that one, by the way. That's kind of tough to remember. So make sure you have enough D6s or whatever to mark that. They're worth VP equal to their cost. They have Ambush, Rise of the Living Dead, Fight. Play a copy of this card as a hero. Then put it into your victory pile as a villain. It still has Rise of the Living Dead. When a twist is drawn, each villain in the city with Rise of the Living Dead escapes, then play another card from the villain deck. Evil is going to win when there are 3 villains per player in the escape pile or the villain deck runs out. So this is definitely a very difficult setup, I would say. We definitely want to be rescuing bystanders or sending cards undercover to prevent those heroes from coming out of your victory piles for sure. And we just really try to keep these villains from escaping. That's kind of the big thing it's asking of us. Let's see. Let's take a look at Zombie Avengers, which is going to be one of the villain groups we have. And got some rough. It's really just the Rise of the Living Dead. That's the one thing. So once again, just rescuing bystanders or sending heroes undercover to prevent that one. Let's see what else we got going on here. We do have Lords of the Netherworld. They're going to be sending cards into the astral plane, so we're going to need a little bit of recruit in order to fight them. Where did you go? Lords of the Netherworld. So, This one's not the astral plane one. This is the demonic bargain one. So
So a little bit of top deck knowledge is probably going to go a long way. Maybe so top deck manipulation will be pretty strong here, so that we can avoid from gaining the wounds from the demonic bargain, or have a way to KO those wounds on a nice and consistent basis. Let's see, and then let's see. Let's look at the Liberator drones real quick from the what if. So Liberator drones. They're going to be handed out bystanders, and when we fight these guys, they're going to give us Liberator 3, which is going to help us fight the Mastermind, but it's also going to help us defeat villains that have bystanders. So potentially we could get maybe a hero that's going to hand out bystanders so that we can take advantage of that Liberator 3 ability. Other than that, though, I think we can jump right into the heroes that we have available to us. So let's jump into Dark City. We're going to be taking a look at Ghost Rider. So I think... So the main goal of this game is not to lose. If you lose, you definitely aren't going to win in your pod. So cards like Blazing Hellfire, which is going to let you KO a villain from your victory pile to get extra attack, is probably going to be worth it in a pinch, because what's rough about it is it's not like Soulbind. When you play Blazing Hellfire, you actually KO the card from your victory pile, meaning you won't get the VP from it. Kind of like the way Soulbind works is you do still get the VP, but in this situation you don't. But in a situation where you still have a villain on top of your victory pile that has Rise of the Living Dead, probably going to be worth getting rid of, so it doesn't come back into the city and pushes you to lose. The one thing that they do ask of us is going to be Hell on Wheels. Wants us to have another Marvel Knight hero in order to activate that to get 4 recruit on 1 card. Very strong. Now, Infernal Chains does want us to have a strength card to defeat a villain of 3 or less for free. It's not all that incredible, so I wouldn't overstress about it too much, but if you happen to have 1 common card that does have strength, probably be a decent way to go. But yeah, once again, not really asking terribly too much of us. Let's take a look at our Spider-Man Homecoming hero. And let me see, double checking that. Yeah, Peter Parker Homecoming. So this is a Spider-Man hero that, lots of, we want to have 2 costing cards for sure. But what's really cool about this guy is this hero set is a lot of Danger Sense, and I love Danger Sense. I think it's one of the strongest abilities in the entire game, and every single one of his cards will provide that for you. So, and you can use that to kind of keep track of what's going to be coming. If Rise of the Living Dead is going to be popping up, you're going to want to use Ghost Rider's ability to KO that villain before it comes back into the city. So a couple things it asks of us. It does want to have cards that cost 2 or less, kind of the classic Spider-Man move, but it also wants to have a instinct card and also a tech card in order to activate his common and uncommon ability. We do have a common tech card with Ghost Rider, but it doesn't really mesh too well. It kind of depends on the setup there for sure. But if we can get a 2 costing card that does have tech abilities with it, that can be its own kind of nice little neat package that he can play with. Let's take a look at our next one, which is going to be from Dark City as well. It's going to be Punisher. Now, he does provide 2 tech cards here in the common slot, and one of the tech cards that costs 2. So this would probably be a decent pickup in terms of playing along with Peter Parker Homecoming's uncommon card. And he does want us to basically just play more tech cards. We can draw extra cards with Boom Goes the Dynamite, and with Hail of Bullets, we do get to defeat villains for free that are on top of the villain deck. So that'd be probably a decent way to avoid. So if we can look at the top card of the deck, it is going to trigger more Rise of the Living Dead ambushes. We could probably use this to take that out before it hits the city. That might be worth it to. It's going to speed up the villain deck a little bit, but it might be worth it to avoid just catastrophe from occurring, basically. Hostile Interrogation does want us to have a strength card, but once again, this isn't one we really want to activate. It just doesn't, I don't know, it just usually doesn't end up being kind of worth it. Kind of the downside of it is higher than the upside for sure. So we're really focused in on his 2 common cards here. So I think the tech side is kind of covered, but we do want to have an instinct card for Peter Parker Homecoming in order to get that extra boost there. Let's take a look and see what we can do in terms of our setup here. Looks like I don't have a strong setup here right now. Let's take a look at Apocalyptic Black Widow from What If. So she's going to be handing out bystanders, which usually is a pretty good one. She's also going to provide some tech cards to help with Peter Parker. She does have 1 card that does cost 2, and it does draw a card, which is really nice. But she's going to be handing out bystanders with her plant hidden assets. We can then use the Liberator drones Liberate ability in order to fight them. Overall, let's see. I'm trying to see exactly. Yeah, I guess it has some. It does have hand out the bystanders, little bystander synergy in there. Could be a decent pickup, I would say. So Apocalyptic Widow could be a good pick in that situation. In terms of one from the Homecoming set, we could do High Tech Spider-Man. Once again, just more 2 costing cards, fits pretty decently well with Peter Parker Homecoming.
Let's see. We still actually do need an instinct card in order to activate this one on a consistent basis. But there's plenty of tech inside of this to activate Spider Grip, which is good. Once again, just more danger sense, so you can actually see what's going to be coming. Then you can use Punisher to fight those cards that are on top of the villain deck. Overall, pretty solid choice here, I would say, in order to kind of focus in on those Spider-Man abilities. Sorry, this is kind of sorry. I totally missed it. So yeah, we want to be handing out bystanders so we can actually rescue them and stop the rise of the living dead. That's kind of what I was going for. Sorry, I just had a little bit of a brain fart there. So I was like, wait, why do I want bystanders? I was like, oh yeah, because I'm dealing with zombies and zombies are bad. So sorry about that. I need to take just cleaner notes, honestly, is what I'm getting at. But anyway, so we have Apocalyptic Black Widow and High Tech Spider-Man for cards for heroes that we could suggest. And then the next one is kind of tough. So the main problem is the only other hero that really does provide us with more rescuing bystanders is actually Jean Grey. Now, Jean Grey is pretty solid. She does rescue a bystander with her Psychic Search, as long as it's activated by a X-Men hero. Now, the main problem is we don't have an X-Men hero in the pre-selected slot. So in order for this to work, we have to use up both of our hero slots in order for this to work. So if you pick Jean Grey, you're going to be rescuing bystanders with Psychic Search and then getting benefits with Read Your Thoughts and Mind Over Matter. But in order for that to work, you need to use your other hero slot to pick up one that's going to assist that, which is going to be Bishop. This is a great little combination because they're going to be rescuing bystanders and they're also going to be KOing cards, which is two very powerful things in a tournament setting, especially. And we'll be able to activate one of the costs on a very consistent basis and also absorb energies. So honestly, looking at my hero suggestions, I didn't really find a good way to activate Avengers in Training. It's the one card that looks like I wasn't able to find a decent hero setup in order for that to occur. Common instinct cards. Is Happy Hogan all right? Kale wins you gain this turn. He's fine. I guess he has a tech card. Let's see if I can just do a very quick. I'm looking for a common card that has, I guess Radar Sense could be decent, versatile too, but I kind of want to stash that. Could you use Elektra? Elektra does want you to have there's a covert card here. If you wanted to go fully in on the 2 costing section, you could do Elektra and also High Tech Spider-Man, so that you can actually have a lot of two or less costing cards so you can draw into those. And yeah, Elektra does a pretty decent job of that. So either way, those are my suggestions for setup for pod number 9. Hope you guys have a great time. And just good luck to you guys. Sorry, that was a little bit of a mess there, but just had a little brain fart there. So good luck to everybody, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, let's jump into pod number 10. This is Do I Hear Wedding Bugs? So the mastermind is going to be a nihilist. The scheme is going to be ruin the perfect wedding. So in this situation, there's a hero at the altar and a hero at the door. So the hero at the altar is going to be Mike, Miek the Unhived, and No Name Brood Queen. For the villain deck, we have Annihilation Wave and Human Rebellion for the villains, and the Tardigrade for the henchmen. For the hero deck, the three pre-selected heroes is Fantastic Four United, Freedom Fighters, and Ant Army. The sets that are allowed is going to be Annihilation, Marvel Studios, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Realm of Kings, and World War Hulk. Let's jump into our setup here, and let's see what's going to be going on here. So let's jump into Annihilation here real quick. All right, let's take a look at Annihilus, who has Mass Momentum 2, and then Master Strike. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a bystander, Annihilus captures it. If it is a villain, it enters the city, captures a bystander, and moves forward at an extra space. So not really too much we can do in terms of being able to prevent this from occurring. Just when Master Strikes happen, stuff happens that we can't stop. So we don't have to stress about it. His HP is 10, which is a little difficult, and it just gets bigger and bigger with the Mass Momentum ability right there. So got your work cut out for that. Cut out for you. All right, let's take a look at the scheme. We have Ruined the Perfect Wedding. There's going to be 11 twists in the villain deck. We're going to set aside 2 extra heroes to get married. Prepare each wedding hero into a separate 14-card stack ordered by cost with the lowest cost on top. Twist 1, put 1 wedding hero stack above the rightmost city space at the altar. Gain its top card. When twist 2 is drawn, put the other wedding hero stack above the mastermind space at the door. Gain its top card. Twist 3 to 7. Gain the top card of either wedding hero stack, then KO 2 cards from the top of each wedding hero stack that has a villain or mastermind in the space immediately below it. Then the leftmost hero stack walks down the aisle, moving 1 space to the right. Twist 8 to 11. KO 2 cards from the top of each wedding hero stack, and Evil's going to win when either wedding hero stack is KO'd. So so this is kind of a timer scheme basically, but we are going to get small little benefits in terms of being able to gain some of the heroes that are involved in it. Let's take a peek at those heroes right now. All right, one of the heroes involved in the wedding is going to be Miek the Unhived, and kind of the cards where you can kind of are looking for is you're definitely going to be getting this top card, which is this bug smashes you. It gives you 2 attack and smashes 1. Pretty generic. So, you're not gonna, it's not going to be asking too much of us. You might be getting
A Devouring Frenzy, which is going to let you get a little extra recruit, little top deck knowledge, which is pretty decent, and also you can't feast if you have an instinct card, which he'll provide one for you. So honestly, this is a hero. It's nice because these are kind of generically strong cards, so it's not going to kind of affect your deck building skills, I would say. The other one is No Name Brood Queen. Man, what a couple right there. Another card that kind of generic one. Surprise Attack is actually pretty decent. It does give you 1 attack, and it gets you to be able to draw a card if it's the first card you play this turn. So that's actually pretty good. I would probably go for No Name Brood Queen over Miek if I do have a choice in terms of which one I'm going to gain from. And then also Appetite for Destruction is kind of the same thing as Miek's other one. You get a little top deck knowledge, and you can feast if you need to. So actually pretty similar cards, I'll be honest. I think the real question is if you want instinct or if you want covert cards. So we'll have to see if that is going to have a little bit of effect in terms of the heroes we have set up. Okay, let's look at some of the pre-selected heroes we have. We have Fantastic Four United. They're pretty interesting. These every time I look at these cards, I'm just like mind blown by how much text is on all of them. But the main thing is they're going to give you recruit, and then you can use focus abilities in order to get different abilities. It makes them pretty dang flexible. The one thing it is going to ask of us is it is going to ask that we want to have another Fantastic Four hero so we can activate Thing to get that +1 recruit. Not huge, but still in a setup like this where you can take that recruit and focus it into, like, for example, extra attack, rescuing bystanders, KOing cards, KOing. This is crazy. You get to focus 2 and KO 2 wounds from your hand or discard pile. I mean, that is bonkers good, being able to KO 2 of them. Very, very good. So not asking a ton of us, and it has a nice little variety of hero classes right there. Let's take a look at our other one. Just real quick to add on, it also wants to have some 4 costing cards for an Invisible Woman, but it does. But she already has 2 common cards that are going to do that for us, so don't think we have to stress about it too much. Okay, let's take a look at our other pre-selected hero, which is Freedom Fighters. They're pretty decent. They don't ask a terrible amount of us. Just a couple cards. This one's going to be both of their 2 of their common cards are going to be drawing extra cards. Zolom does want us to have a range card so we can get that +2 extra attack, which is really strong. A card that's going to give us potentially 4, and then maybe if Bridge Conqueror works, up to 5 attack on 1 card. Very happy with this one. It does have a common one that in order to activate, which is good, and an uncommon. So we have a little bit of support within itself. And even Fantastic Four United has a range card in order to activate it. So he's pretty well supported. Veb does want us to have an instinct card, so we can start KOing a card that we drew that turn, which is good. Lots of, this is such a weird card, but either way, it's going to do a decent amount of work. And also Quaz wants us to have a range card in order to activate it. So it does ask us for some range and some instincts. We're a little supported in terms of the range cards already with Fantastic Four United. Let's see if our other hero is going to help us out in the other half. And looks like we got Ant Army as our other one. And that is going to provide us with 2 common instinct cards. So I think we're pretty decently set up and have a nice, well-rounded team already. Now, Ant Army does want us to have some tech cards to help with Anticipate and Anti-Proton Experiments, so we can get those, and also Anti-Tank Weapons, so we can get that. We can take advantage of that microscopic size-changing ability on them. And also, in order to activate, let's see, Anti-Tank Weapons to get that +3 extra attack, giving us 5 attack on 1 card, very good. And we could reduce this down to 0 cost. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong there. Let's take a look at our other one, and actually, one that could work potentially is going to be Brainstorm. So this is a Fantastic Four hero that's going to help us out activating the Thing, which is good. But she also provides us with some more tech cards, so we can use those in order to reduce the cost of the cards with Ant Army and get a little extra few bonuses. She also wants us to have a Fantastic Four hero, which we already have with Fantastic Four United. Has some and Borrow from the Future wants us to have range cards, which we already have with the Freedom Fighter. So I think she's going to work out really kind of perfectly in this setup. Just kind of grab the cards you need, and it should do pretty dang good. The next one is going to come from the Ant-Man expansion here, and it's going to be Wasp. Now this one's like I said, we already have kind of a well-rounded setup, so we're mostly just looking for hero classes so we can make sure that every card is going to get become activated. And Wasp is pretty solid. She brings along tech cards, which will help with Ant Army, and range cards, which will work with Freedom Fighters. There's some size changing going on here, which is really nice. That size changing feels like you're cheating. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I can size change, follow my lead, and get this for free. I mean, I just feel like I'm running away with the game. So, and also it's gonna help you kind of be able to
defeat the Mastermind a lot quicker because you're going to be gaining you should be gaining quite a bit of non-gray heroes pretty quickly into your deck, and that's going to lead you to winning the game quite a bit quicker. So pretty happy with that one. I think another decent choice here would actually be from World War Hulk, and it's going to be Amadeus Cho. He does a lot with outwitting, and because Freedom Fighters and Ant Army provide us with so many cards because of the different distributions of common and uncommon cards, that means we have a lot of different costs. So we should be able to outwit on an extremely consistent basis, and Amadeus Cho is just really good at that. We can draw cards with extrapolate. We can do Gamma Drain Nanites. It's going to transform, and then we can outwit this. And like Totally Smart Hulk is going to give us +2 attack, giving us 4 total, which is really good. And then Renegade Genius is going to give us quite a decent amount of attack and draw us a card. So yeah, I think Amadeus Cho is going to fit in really well. Also giving us a tech card here with Gamma Draining Nanites and a instinct card in order to activate. Let's see, did we need an instinct card? We did, in order to activate some of the Ant Army cards. So those are my suggestions for pod number 10. Good luck to everybody in this pod. I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun in this setup, and just hope it goes well for you. So let's scooch on over to the next one. All right, everybody, let's move on to pod number 11. This is Cross Country. The mastermind is going to be Darren Cross. Scheme is going to become president of the United States. The villain deck is Cross Technologies, Rival Overlords, and the henchman is Quantum Hounds. For the heroes pre-selected, we have Captain Carter, Miss Marvel, and Spider-Man 2099. For the sets that are allowed, we have Champions, Marvel 2099, Marvel Studios Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Marvel Studios What If. I think we got a pretty spicy setup here. Let's jump into the cards that we're going to be working with and see what we're going to be going up against. We have, for the mastermind, we are going to have, where'd you go? Probably up farther. I always forget. It's a little closer to the top. Okay, so we have Darren Cross here. So he's going to have 8 attack, but he does have Bane Conqueror 6. So as long as the villain's in there, he's going to have 14 attack, which is pretty substantial. But the Master Strike, Darren Cross is going to double cross each of the players, so it could cause us to discard some cards, and it's going to transform into Yellow Jacket, who has 12 HP. But we can use microscopic size changing with tech cards in order to reduce that down. What that would be down to 9, down to 6. We could get him down to 6. And then if a Master Strike is drawn while he is Yellow Jacket, each player is going to discard a Instinct hero or size changing hero, or they're going to gain a wound. And then he's going to transform back into Darren Cross. So he's asking us to have tech cards in order to reduce his HP, and also instinct cards we can discard to prevent ourselves from getting wounds, or size changing cards. So not too much pressure in terms of the hero class that we have to have in order to prevent that from occurring. Let's see, the other one was 2099. Let's get that loaded up here. Okay, the scheme has become president of the United States. So there's going to be 11 twists in the villain deck. Special rules. Once per turn, you may stack one of your non-gray heroes next to the scheme to earn 10 million votes for that hero name. If you do, you may also send one of your gray heroes undercover as a secret service. So the scheme gives us ways to KO our starting cards, but we have to get rid of our non-gray heroes, possibly for the game. Every time we draw a twist, if there's a villain in the bank or streets, the mastermind vows to crush crime, and you stack this twist next to the mastermind as 10 million votes. Otherwise, you may discard 2 cards to counter negative advertising, shuffle this twist back into the villain deck, and play another card from the deck. If you don't discard, stack this twist next to the mastermind as 10 million votes. Evil's going to win when the mastermind is elected president by having 40 million votes, more votes than the highest voted hero name. Okay, so we're not exactly going to lose after we draw all 4 twists. We kind of have to be able to kind of play catch up. You know, being able to send heroes undercover, so we can actually kind of prevent ourselves from losing by sending our non-gray heroes out in order to increase the vote count. So it's kind of a really convoluted reading that. I'm not going to lie. I feel like, I don't know, that's kind of a roughly written scheme, but we do have ways to prevent us from losing. We just have to give up some of our non-gray heroes in order to prevent that from occurring. So might have to make some tough decisions, honestly, within this game.
All right, let's pop back over, and we're going to check out the Cross Technology one, and the main one that's going to be asking of us is going to be this Shrink
Experiments, which wants us to have some tech cards so we can do the size changing on to reduce his HP, and then also want us to have some instinct heroes so we can do the microscopic size changing for Yellow Jacket prototype, and to prevent the wound from the ambush ability as well. So kind of the same thing that Darren Cross is asking of us. Hopefully we can we have a starter deck that should be able to help us out in this situation. So first hero up, we do have Captain Carter. Now, she's pretty generically strong. You get +1 recruit for each different printed recruit number among all heroes you control. She also has that for attack. And she has a couple cards that deal with what if, and we have ways to put cards on top of our deck with Give Them All We've Got. So pretty decent. We also have some wound prevention with the Shield of Britain here. So yeah, pretty solid hero setup. Lots of decent amount of variety of hero classes as well. Man, it gives you 5 attack. That's so strong. We have to put a card on top of our deck. So either way, so that's kind of what she provides. And if we can just have maybe a little top deck knowledge or maybe manipulation for Super Soldier Serum, we should be fine. But yeah, overall, not asking too much of us. Next pre-selected hero is going to be Miss Marvel. She's a pretty cool one. We have some size changing abilities right there, so that should help us out with Darren Cross. But she's also going to be rescuing bystanders with Long Arm of the Law. We're going to want some cover cards in order to activate that. Captain Carter doesn't provide that, but she does have some strength cards, so we can reduce big impact down to costing 2, which is good. And then Need to Stretch My Legs does want us to have another champion hero, but we do have 2 common cards in order to activate that within her own set, so it's not too crazy. But she does have Cheering Crowd, so we do want to be able to have bystanders at the ready in order to activate that ability, so we can get 2 copies of that card whenever we play it. She is asking us to have some strength and some cover cards, so we do have some strength cards in terms of with Captain Carter, but maybe one more wouldn't hurt, so that we can get that cost reduction. But yeah, overall, she does ask us of things, but they're definitely worth, if we can provide those for us, we're definitely going to go far in this game. Let's take a look at our last one, which is going to be Spider-Man 2099, which is going to be all the way over here, probably at the top. I know my ABCs. So we have Spider-Man 2099. So he wants us to have some covert cards so we can get that Cyber Mod up. We only need to have 2 inside of our victory pile so we can have Venomous Fangs being activated so we can draw some cards. Same with Retractable Talons so we can draw a card from that as well. We can also send itself undercover, just one of them. So spend 2, grab Retractable Talons, send it undercover when we can. Then every single Retractable Talons after that is going to be drawing us cards every time we play it. Very, very strong. The one thing it does is asking of us is Spider Silk Webbing. We want to be able to activate that Faded Future, which is really good. When it's activated, that card will go on the bottom of our hero deck. Very, very strong. Let's see. Next time your hero recruit goes on top of your deck. Yeah. No, I think it's very, very solid setup. Once again, Captain Carter does give us some strength cards, and so does Miss Marvel, actually. So we should be able to activate that Spider Silk Webbing pretty consistently already. Let's see. So just a couple things asking of us. We could probably bring along maybe a strength hero, just one more, just to make sure we can activate everything that we want to, at least a common one. Maybe a champion hero would be good, and then some tech and instinct heroes so that we can let's see, tech and instinct. Oh, it's gonna help us with Darren Cross and the cross technology one. We're kind of lacking on the tech side of things at the moment. We have some with Captain Carter, but nothing too crazy. So the first one we're going to go with, so we're kind of just looking for classes, I would say. That's kind of the main thing we're shooting for. And I think we can go with let's see. Yeah, we can go with Ant Army. Mainly just for the classes. We're going to be getting the instinct. We're going to be getting the tech so we can fight against Darren Cross and Yellow Jackets so we can reduce his HP, but also prevent us from getting wounds, things like that. Also, all the size changing is going to do great wonders in this one as well. I think Ant Army could be a really good pick there. Let's take a look at the next one. I'm going to take a peek at, it could be Star-Lord T'Challa. Let's see, Elemental P. There we go. Star-Lord T'Challa is a really good card in terms, sorry, hold on. All right, next one I could suggest is going to be Star-Lord T'Challa. I don't know why the What If page has the card so big, but Star-Lord T'Challa does a really great job of top deck manipulation and knowledge, so we can activate those What If abilities from Captain Carter. Overall, he does a lot of great things. He's KOing cards, he's getting empowered by other ones, especially if we're trying to go for strength and instinct heroes, or tech and instinct heroes. We should be able to get empowered at a decent rate. I guess this one does for strength and for covert, and we do have strength and covert with Miss Marvel, so that actually works really, really well. We should be able to use these cards in order to help out with those. Also, all of his cards are dual class ones, so yeah, I think we're going to be just fine. This is a nice little catch-all hero who's just kind of very strong on his own. Let's take a look at our other hero that I think could work out pretty decently, and I think Ant-Man's going to work really well. It's going to tie along with Miss Marvel at a pretty consistent rate just to help out with those strength and covert cards. Once again, more size changing, which is always great. Yeah, overall, Ant-Man's just a a pretty good hero, I would say. It's kind of hard to judge some of these when the ratios are off compared to what I'm used to, just because like the chances of us getting these common cards is just lower in my head. It needs to be lower because it's literally like you only get 3 copies of each of these instead of 5. So sometimes it can be kind of tough to formulate, but either way, those are the 3 heroes that I'm suggesting for this pod. Hope that helps you out. Hope it kind of stretches your brain trying to figure out what this needs in order to be successful. Good luck to you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, let's move into pod number 12. This is what if 2099 had fallen to a Weapon X. This setup was designed by a fall 2024 tournament 3rd place winner, Adrian Miller. Congrats to you on getting 3rd place here. Let's take a look at the setup. We have Mastermind, Sinister Six 2099. We have a Scheme, which conditioned Logan into Weapon X. For the villain deck, we have Alchemex Enforcers and the Fallen, and Ultron Sentries for the Henchmen. For the hero deck, we have Hulk 2099, Uatu the Watcher, and Weapon X in terms of the pre-selected heroes. No Final Blow, as this is adapting Mastermind, keep that in mind. And for the sets that are allowed, we have Marvel 2099, Marvel Studio What If, Midnight Suns, and Weapon X. Let's take a look at our Mastermind and Scheme here. Now, part of the Mastermind is going to be, let's see where they Sinister Six 2099. So these are going to be changing all the time, and there's a lot of text here. So I'm not going to go through and read all of them, but the main thing that we want to be keeping a track of, let's see, is ways we can reduce their HP. So for example, we can, let's see, so mainly it's like with Venom 2099, he's going to get -1 attack for each card you have that costs 2. So something we can kind of factor in as we're picking out our heroes. And also Goblin 2099, his HP is going to be reduced for each bystander to victory pile. So low costing heroes and bystanders are going to help us out just a little bit in terms of fighting the Mastermind. In terms of the Scheme, let's take a look at our Weapon X expansion. Let's scroll that down right there, and Weapon X. All right, let's take a look at the Scheme. It's conditioned Logan into Weapon X. There's going to be 8 twists in the villain deck, include exactly 1 hero with Wolverine or Logan in its name. So we are going to have a pre-selected hero with one of those in there, but I believe it's Weapon X itself. Twist 1, 3, and 5, they're going to induce Violent Rage. If you don't defeat an enemy worth 2 VP or more this turn, then after you draw a new hand of cards at the end of this turn, each player has to discard down to 4. Pretty painful, I would say. For the Twist 2, 4, and 6, they're going to test the subject's healing factor. Each player has to discard a Strength or an Instinct hero, or is going to gain a wound. So that definitely tells us we want to have those. For Twist 7, Unleash Weapon X. Excuse me. For each Wolverine and or Logan hero in the HQ, each player is going to gain a wound. So after that, we're kind of in a rough situation, but each player is probably going to gain probably two wounds off of that, I'm going to guess, but just kind of depends. It does help just tell us like, hey, you want to recruit these X-Men, Wolverine cards out of the HQ so you can prevent that, but it does want us to have some strength and instinct heroes. So let's take a look at our next one. All right, no villains or henchmen we have to really talk about. Let's take a look at Hulk 2099, which is going to be one of the pre-selected heroes. Pretty strong. He wants to be sending wounds into the victory pile, to get these cyber mods. He doesn't want to have cyber mod 4, which is quite a lot, I would say, but you're going to get rewarded with 4 extra attack if you can pull that off. In terms of his other cards, want us to have some tech cards so we can activate Push Pain under the surface. If you do that, you may send a hero from your hand or discard pile undercover instead. Instead of you may send a wound from your hand or discard pile undercover. So it does make that basically in essence a KO ability a little more flexible. And with massive gamma detonation, we do want to have a tech card so we can activate that Faded Future ability. So pretty strong hero setup. I mean, we have some really high printed attack values as well, which is really cool. But yeah, so yeah, Hulk 2099 is going to be doing some good work for us. Maybe we can find a way to give ourselves wound in some way so that we can use Push Pain under the surface in order to get rid of them to get that cyber mod going. Could be interesting for sure. Let's take a look at our next hero, which is going to be in the What If section. It's going to be Uatu. So he's going to want us to wants to have a little bit of top deck knowledge so we can use these What If abilities. He does have a way to do that with Diverging Time Streams because we're going to draw a card, then put a card from our hand on top of our deck. So that gives us that ability to activate that card. We're going to be getting empowered by hero names. We can do some soul binding here if need be, but the main thing he wants us to have is some covert cards in order to activate diverging time streams, and also some range cards to activate history repeats. And right now, let's see, instinct, strength, and tech. So we don't really have a way in order to activate Watu so far. So we kind of have Hulk 2099 in one pile and Watu in another. Let's see if our third hero is going to help us out with that. So we have Weapon X as our next one. So Raging Regeneration is a pretty solid card. It's going to be KOing wounds and also doing some berserking abilities. So cards with high printed attack value is going to be pretty crucial in this. And luckily, Hulk 2099 does provide that. Let's see, he's going to provide that with, 2 attack isn't too bad, but 5 with massive gamma radiation. If I have some berserk abilities, I want to have this card in my deck as much as possible. But yeah, overall, berserk is going to be a huge keyword, and we can KO wounds. We don't really have a way to gain wounds. I guess with violent condition we can, but we can take those wounds and gain some advantage off of them. So let's take a look at some suggestions we have for this one. Let's see. One of them is going to be, let's see, reading my notes is always difficult sometimes. I'm just kidding. Let's take a look at Killmonger. So Killmonger, so kind of the main things we want to be getting from this situation, I would say. Let's see. We want to have some more strength cards. We want to have some tech cards. We want to have a covert card, some top deck for Berserk, and maybe some range cards to help out with Watu. But Killmonger is going to provide us with those strength and those tech cards, which is really good. He's also pretty generically strong. Getting attack equal to each different victory group in our victory pile can, do some good work. Also, some really high attack values. He has these 4 cards are all attack cards, and we got 2, 3, 2, and 4. Pretty solid if we berserk into those as well. The other one we can do is going to be Star-Lord T'Challa. He's really good at putting cards on top of the deck or knowing what's on top of the deck, and he can fit pretty decently well with Watu. He does provide all of his cards are dual class. So, for example, like Interstellar Adventure is going to help out with Watu as well, but could help out with Hulk and his uncommon, things like that. So I think he's one that we can kind of divvy him up, and each deck can kind of grab a piece of this uncommon or hand the other common card off to the other deck or things like that. So I think Star-Lord T'Challa could do a pretty solid job in this situation. And then the last hero we're going to suggest is going to be Weapon H. So he deals with a lot of berserking, which is really good. He also provides some strength cards so that we can do some more work with like Hulk and things like that. We also like, if you pick Star-Lord T'Challa and bring this guy as well, if you're berserking into those Star-Lord or those Killmonger cards, you're going to be getting a decent amount of attack out of those, out of the printed attack values of those cards. So those are going to be my suggestions for this one. I just had a note here, like looks like Blade. Let's see, hold on. Yeah, it looks like sorry. Anyways, those are my suggestions for pod number 12. Hope you guys have a great time. Hope that kind of stretches your mind and kind of sees what you're looking to build in terms of this. You don't really even have to go with the heroes I suggested, but hopefully that helps you kind of just percolate and kind of know what you're getting into. All right, everybody, let's take a look at pod number 13. We have 5 fights at Wolvies. For the setup, we have the mastermind is Sabretooth. He is All right, everybody, let's jump into pod number 13. This is 5 fights at Wolvies. The mastermind is going to be Sabretooth. The scheme is 5 families of crime. For the villain deck, we have Berserkers, Domain of Apocalypse, Uncanny Avengers, and X-Men Noir. For the henchmen, we have Shield Assault Squad. For the scheme, for the hero deck, we have 3 pre-selected ones, which is Old Man Logan, Sabretooth, and Weapon X. Couple special rules we want to go over. This is not a villain's game, so play with the standard city spaces and no Madam Hydra or new recruit stacks to recruit from, even though we have Sabretooth in here and a couple other cards that are from the villain core box. Wounds and bindings are not equivalent. Gain the card of the appropriate type when prompted. You may choose for all players to use either Shield starter heroes or Hydra starter heroes, but not both. For the sets that are allowed, we have Noir, Star Wars Secret Wars Volume 1, Villains, and Weapon X. Let's take a look at our mastermind here, which is going to be Sabretooth. All right, Sabretooth, he has 8 attack, and Sabretooth berserks once for each savagery stacked here. So his HP is going to be increasing every time a Master Strike is drawn, basically. Stack the strike next to Sabretooth as a savagery. Each player KOs one of their heroes that costs more than the number of savageries. Any player that cannot do so gains a wound instead.
fail, KO a non-gray hero discarded by Sabertooth's Berserkine. So very rough. Definitely a real pain in the rear to deal with. You're going to be losing some of your gray heroes, which is never fun. And he's probably going to be pretty difficult to fight as well. So really high attack values is what you're going to need in order to prevent him from doing anything. Let's take a look at our next one, which is going to be from the Noir expansion. All right, let's take a look at the scheme. It's 5 families of crime. Setup is going to be 8 twists, add 2 extra villain groups, split the villain deck into 5 shuffle decks, 1 above each city space. Special rules, each villain deck uses its own city of 1 city space. Each turn, you choose which villain deck plays a card. Twists play 2 cards from a villain deck, 1 single one. Evil wins when 8 villains escape or all villain decks run out. So this is kind of basically a timer scheme. It's more of like a gimmick one, because usually when the villain, I've seen there's a couple other schemes where when the villain deck is split up, it's one enemy villain group in each of the decks, so you can kind of control or decide, like, I want to draw from this one so I can, these ones aren't as difficult to deal with, things like that. But because this deck is shuffled and then split up, doesn't really matter. So not much we can do in order to prevent this from occurring. All right, nothing we really need to do in terms of the villain groups or the henchmen, so we don't have to stress about that. Let's take a look at Old Man Logan. So pretty decent hero set, I would say. He can KO some wounds, or he can KO any card, and you get a benefit if it's a wound with Last Survivor, and it wants us to have some instinct cards in order to activate that, and also Rage Out. Now, luckily, he does provide all three of his 2 commons and his uncommon are all instincts, so we should be able to activate those cards on a pretty consistent basis. He's nice and kind of solidified. With Loner, we are going to get 4 attack off of 1 card, but it does prevent us from recruiting cards. So just something to kind of keep in mind. But yeah, overall, he's a pretty decent hero set, I would say. We just want to be grabbing just a few more, maybe like 1 more instinct card at a common level in order to activate those cards nice and consistently. Let's take a look at our next one, which is going to be from the Villains expansion. All right, our next pre-selected hero is going to be Sabertooth. He is really focused on the top of your deck, so he has a lot of ways to manipulate it, being able to get knowledge of it, things like that. He does provide some instinct cards, so Old Man Logan should be pretty much covered in terms of that. The one thing he does ask of us, well, he wants us to have some instinct cards, but take 1 for the team. We'll let you draw some cards from the Brotherhood hero group, I believe is what it's called. And there's very few of those to actually work with. So we'll have to take a peek and see if we can find one in order to be able to draw that card with take 1 for the team. He can also draw into his own cards as well. So it's not a complete loss there. But yeah, Sabertooth is actually really fun to play. Just being able to know exactly what's on top, being able to manipulate it so you can get what you need at the right time or stash cards away. Great hero. Great hero setup. All right, last pre-selected hero is going to be Weapon X Wolverine. Happy to see a lot of the Weapon X cards inside of these setups for the tournament. It's really cool. He does want us to have some instinct cards, which is basically covered already. We don't have to worry about that. So the one thing it does do is it wants us to know what's on top of our deck, which Sabertooth can provide, and we just want to have some high printed attack values on there, so Berserk can actually give us a good oomph. So honestly, we already have kind of a well-rounded setup, so we can kind of shoot for some generically strong cards or look for some other small synergies in there, I would say. We kind of want to kind of things we're looking for, maybe some top deck synergies, some Berserker synergies, maybe some wound synergies as well. And if we can find a hero that does have some Brotherhood abilities in there, I think that would be pretty dang solid. The first one I'm going to set up is actually a double. You'd want to play both of these at the same time. So if we want to get that Brotherhood hero in there, I think Juggernaut could actually do a pretty decent job here. He's going to be carrying about cards that cost 4 or more, which is pretty high up there. But if you do, this is just kind of if you want to activate that common Sabertooth card, I think Juggernaut is a good way to go. If you do that, though, I would highly suggest bringing along a hero that does matter about cards that cost 4 or more, and Luke Cage Noir can do a very good job of that. He also gets a little top deck synergy in terms of investigating. He can also prevent wounds with his Unbreakable Cage. I mean, he's a very, very strong hero, and he kind of lets you be able to work with cards that do cost 4 or more, because of like cards like Follow Big Leads is going to give you a lot of extra recruit in order to recruit the high costing cards that Luke Cage Noir and Juggernaut bring along. One of the other options we could go with in terms of, I believe, the Brotherhood is actually going to be it's going to be Mystique. Mystique actually does a pretty decent job here. She does Show Your True Colors is going to be any card there, but you can also dodge it away if you don't need it. And then Hidden Weapons is the one thing it does ask us to have an instinct card and a tech card. We already have the instinct covered In terms of the tech, we are just a little lackey, but Weapon X does provide one, which is pretty decent. So Mystique could be another option in terms of just choices there. And I feel like let's see. I feel like once again we're kind of just going for some generically strong cards. So like for example, if you bring along Mystique, you could pick like Green Goblin to increase your amount of tech cards you have, which could be pretty good. And all of his cards have dodge, which is incredible. If you just don't need the attack or the recruit that it provides yet, you can just dodge it away and shoot for a different card inside of your deck. So like I said, this is a setup that isn't really pressuring us to do a lot because the pre-selected heroes are nice and well rounded. So this is one where I'm going to give you the hero suggestions, but just look around, read through all the cards, find out what you think, what's going to click in your head. But those are going to be my suggestions for this setup. Good luck to everybody in pod number 13. Hope you have a great time in the tournament, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, everybody in pod number 14. Hello. We're going to be playing HOA Violations. This setup was designed by the fall 2024 tournament's second place winner, which is Red John. Congratulations to you. So the mastermind is Omega Red. The scheme is Sneak Attack, the hero's homes. The villain deck is Evil Deadpool Core. The Weapon Plus also for the villains setup, and Mr. Sinister clones for the henchmen. Now this one's interesting. We don't get any pre-selected heroes. We don't know what they are. Basically what we're going to do is first, so this is special rules. First, you're going to choose your 2 starting heroes, then click below to see the heroes pre-selected for the hero deck. You may not swap out your heroes between attempts. When ready, click here and you're going to reveal the pre-selected heroes. This is part of the scheme that's in there. Remember to note Omega Red's rule regarding wounds KOs. So we're going to take a look at that because Omega Red is a real pain in the butt. For the sets allowed, we have Annihilation Deadpool, Messiah Complex, and Weapon X. So kind of my strategy going in this is we don't know what the other heroes are. So what will we do with that? We're going to really try and lean into what we have available to us. What this also means is we want to be able to have, with Mr. Sinister clones there, we can do the cloning thing where we can recruit heroes and then clone them so that we can kind of build a synergy within a hero set all by itself. For example, like if we had just a bunch of Stepper Cuckoo cards in the deck, that's basically going to fuel itself and it's going to do its own thing. So hopefully we can maybe pick out some heroes that do have the clone ability so that we don't really need to rely on the unknown heroes in order to create synergies. We can create synergies our own by ourselves with the cards that we're cloning. So let's take a look at the setup here real quick. And man, Omega Red is a real piece of work. So he has 10 HP, which is huge, which is pretty decent. Omega Red gets +2 attack while you have any wounds, and +2 while there are any wounds in your discard pile. So if we have wounds, his HP is going to go up. When you KO any wounds for the first time in a turn, put them on the bottom of the wound deck and gain a wound at to the bottom of your deck, which is just a huge pain. It's the first time you KO wounds, so the second time an overword should be fine, but it's really going to put a very strong emphasis on us having to have ways to we either need to KO wounds at a very quick pace, or we need to find a way to get rid of those wounds in another way. That's kind of like the major thing we got to work on. So, and then the Master Strike, each player is going to discard one of their covert cards or gain a wound. So we definitely want to have some covert cards to prevent those wounds. Like, we are going to do everything we can to not gain wounds this game, because once they're in the deck, they're going to be extremely difficult to get rid of. So that's Omega Red. Let's take a look at our scheme here, which is going to come from Annihilation here. Let's see, we're looking for Sneak Attack. Okay, Sneak Attack, the hero's home. So 6 twists in the villain deck. Each player chooses a hero to be part of the hero deck. Randomly select other heroes up to the normal number of heroes. Each player adds to their starting deck 3 non-rare cards with different names from the hero they chose and 3 wounds. So we're actually going to start with cards in our deck, and it's going to be the 2 commons and the 1 uncommon. So pretty interesting. Twist 1 to 5, each player discards a non-gray hero or gains a wound, and twist 6, evil will win. So it's basically just a timer scheme that's going to kind of slow us down a little bit as the twists are showing up. But what we want to look for is a very strong base so that we can either get rid of the wounds we already have or just very powerful cards. Like kind of the one thing you can look for cards where the uncommon card is very, very strong. So I got a couple of kind of fun suggestions in here, and then ones that kind of work just a little bit better. So let's see. Let's start going through them here real quick. One of the first expansions I was looking at when I was trying to come up with suggestions is actually Messiah Complex, because Messiah Complex deals with a lot of cards that already have clone, and clone's going to allow us to have a cohesive strategy with the cards that we have available
with the cards that we know we have are available to us, rather than the mystery cards that are going to come later. And the first one I looked up is going to be Strong Guy. He doesn't have cloning ability, even though I just talked about that, but he does have a way to prevent wounds without KOing them and absorb kinetic energy, which I think is going to be extremely powerful in this setup. Wound prevention is like top tier, one of the more important things we could do. He does have a very strong focus on strength cards, which could be a benefit, could be a loss, but we'll kind of see how it goes. We do, it doesn't bring any covert cards, which is what we need, but this is a way for us to prevent wounds from occurring in a way that's not KOing them. So I think absorb kinetic energy on its own is worth it, in my opinion. Let's take a look at our next one. And it's actually from Messiah Complex, which is going to be Siren. So what's really great about Siren, she provides 2 common cards that are covert, so that's going to help us prevent wounds from Omega Red. She also the Hypnotic Call, being able to shatter all the even costing cards in the HQ is huge. I mean, bringing an 8 cost rare card down to 4, that's like bonkers strong. So pretty happy I would be pretty happy with having these 3 cards in my starter deck. And also 3 Octaves Arpeggio gives you 4 attack, which is really great. And we already have the tactical formation set up and ready to go with one echolocation, one Hypnotic Call. I've actually played this exact setup before where I had Siren in my starter deck, and I was very, very happy with it. So Siren is definitely another suggestion I have. The next one I think is going to be kind of, let's see. Oh, wait, no, here, let's see. Let's look at Annihilation. So another way we can do is if we can KO wounds at a very consistent rate, and Fantastic Four United actually lets us do that with Human Torch. If we can focus 2, then we can KO up to 2 wounds from your hand or discard pile. So this is going to lead us to be able to KO at least 1 wound every single turn for those starter ones, or for the ones that kind of slip through the cracks. So I think that alone is going to be worth putting this in there. Also, it's a lot of recruit at the start of the game, and Invisible Woman is going to give us a 4 recruit, decently consistent as long as we have another card that costs 4 in order to activate it. So pretty happy with this choice. I think you can't really go wrong with it. I think another hero you could potentially do, this would be kind of fun, would be Heralds of Galactus. So he provides a decent amount of recruit in the early game with Silver Surfer and Stardust. The big thing is, though, you could do the Focus 11 ability, and you can search the hero deck HQ or your deck or discard pile for Galactus Hungers and put it on top of your deck. Shuffle any card you searched. I just think it'd be pretty fun to play this because it's let's see. If you have played another Herald of Galactus this turn, destroy the leftmost city space, defeat any villain there, and then you get +2 attack for each destroyed city space. If this destroys the last city space, Galactus consumes the Earth. You win. Evil wins, and all other players lose. So could be kind of a fun little achievement unlock thing. The other one that I was kind of looking at, but I think the other options are just better, is Multiple Man. So the one problem with a lot of the clone cards, for example, like M or Shatterstar, is you get the clone ability when you recruit them. With Multiple Man, you don't need that. You can just activate the ability in order to get the clone. So I think this is an option. Like I said, I feel like the other ones are just better, but I think this is a choice because Multiple Man can basically work with himself. You can use his cards in order to clone them to gain more of his own cards. So you can kind of get that train rolling. It really is just a lot of drawing cards, getting extra attack points, things like that. So he doesn't do anything specifically to counteract the scheme or the mastermind or anything like that, but he can provide his own strategy and his own synergies. So this looks like a really fun setup. I would actually love to play this one as well. So good luck to everybody here in pod number 14. Hope you guys see great success, and I'm excited to see what all the choices everybody makes for their starter heroes. So good luck to everybody. All right, moving on to our last pod, which is pod number 15, and I'm actually a part of this pod, so you get a little insight into my own thoughts and what my strategy is going to be. So anyway, so this is a Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So the mastermind is Ghost, Master Thief. The scheme is warp reality into a TV show. For the villain deck, we have Ghost Chasers and the Shatari from the Marvel Studios Phase 1. For the henchmen, we have the Quantum Knots.
For the hero deck, the pre-selected heroes are Drax from the MCU, Mantis, and Gentora. For the special rules, city spaces keep their names. The 50s is the sewers, the 60s is the bank, etc. And for the sets allowed, this is kind of the movie expansion. So we have Marvel Studios Ant-Man and the Wasp, Guardians of the Galaxy from Marvel Studios Phase 1, and Marvel Studios The Infinity Saga. Kind of fun being a part of this one. So let's jump into our setup and see what we got going on here. I believe this one, I believe Ghost is in here. Yeah. Okay, so we have Ghost Master Thief. So 8 HP. Ghost gets +1 attack for each different cost among her kidnapped victims. While this side is face up, you may recruit cards from the kidnapped victims in any order, spending 2 extra recruit for each. So it's going to tax you, but you can use those. You can use recruit in order to reduce her HP. When a Master Strike is drawn, each player is going to have to reveal a instinct card or instinct hero, or discard 2 cards with recruit icons, and then the Ghost will transform into Ghost Intangible. You can't fight Ghost unless you made at least 6 recruit this turn, so an elusive 6 basically. Master Strike, each player discards a covert card, a covert hero, or puts a non-gray hero from their hand or discard pile next to Ghost as a kidnapped victim. So we're going to want instinct and covert cards in order to prevent her from getting those kidnapped victims and from preventing us from discarding cards as well. So we got that going for us, a little bit of extra bump there. In terms of, let's see, I believe, all right, in terms of the scheme, we have warp reality into a TV show. This is kind of a gimmicky one, but it's kind of fun. Setup twists, 11 setup. There's 11 twists. The rightmost city space represents a TV show from the 50s. The space to its left is the 60s, then the 70s. The city is only 3 spaces. The HQ is only the 3 spaces beneath those. Move the mastermind and officer deck to mark the city's left edge. Twist 1 to 4. Another TV show, City Space, appears on the left side of the city, representing the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Another HQ space appears beneath it. Twist 5 to 11. Destroy the rightmost TV show and the HQ space beneath it. KO any hero in that HQ space. Push forward any villain there. Move the villain deck and hero deck to mark the city's right edge. Evil wins when all TV is destroyed. So it's kind of a gimmicky one, and it's just kind of a timer, but I think it's still pretty interesting. You're going to start out with only 3 HQ spaces and a short city, so it's going to be a little pressure in the beginning, but I like this one's pretty fun. I actually kind of want to play this with Ego Living Planet and see kind of how that kind of works out. That's kind of an interesting one. Let's see. I'll have to contemplate that one. All right, our first hero up is going to be Drax, and we're just going to scroll through these really quick. So Drax is really a lot about triggering excessive violence triggers, and also he wants us to have some strength and some instinct cards in order to draw those cards, which is really good. He has some really nice flexible cards in some of his God, what are they called? The dual facing cards, basically, and a triggered artifact that we can use as well. But he's really focused on activating those excessive violence triggers, and we can use that to gain extra recruit with Prison Riot and things like that. So he's not really asking too much of us, but has kind of established, like, I'm going to focus on attack in this situation. So he's a pretty good hero setup, I would say. The next one is going to be Mantis, and she's kind of the opposite. She is focusing on excessive kindness, which means we can spend an extra recruit in order to trigger our excessive kindness abilities. Now, she is asking us, she wants us to have some instinct cards and some ranged cards in order to activate some of these abilities for her, but we can use that recruit in order to get extra to convert that into attack. We can use it to KO some cards, gaining an extra attack, things like that. She's a pretty fun setup, I would say, and I think she's a little better than excessive violence just because recruit usually leads you to getting more heroes inside of your hero deck at a decent pace. So props to Mantis on this one. I would say, so yeah, we kind of got those 2 established right there. And then our next hero is going to be from the Ant-Man expansion. It's going to be Gentora. And she is really focused around, she does a lot of dealings with Bridge Conquerors. She has strength cards and instinct cards, which is pretty good. She can move some of the heroes around to work on to activate these abilities, things like that. She's actually a really strong pair with, she's exactly what you need in order to help with Drax, which is really, really nice. So we kind of have that established right now. We have 2 heroes in one deck. We have Gentora and Drax in one, and then we have Mantis in the other one. So what we need is a card that really works well with Mantis, and then maybe a couple connector heroes in order to keep everything active, to be enabled to activate everything.
Let's go back to the Infinity Saga. No, we want to go to this one. I think Rocket and Groot is actually a pretty decent middle ground. So they have excessive violence triggers, but they also have excessive kindness ones as well. So these can kind of be, this kind of be the hero that kind of connects, is kind of in the middle. That Drax and Jintora can kind of pick and choose which ones they want, and Mantis can pick the ones they have. They also provide some kind of a mix of the hero classes we need. We need instincts and strength for Mantis. We need instinct and ranged for Mantis, but we also need instinct and strength for Drax. He does bring along some tech cards, which don't really help us activate anything, but I think could be a decent little middle ground for all of them. The next one's also going to be a middle ground here as well. We got ourselves Doctor Strange, going to provide some. Well, actually, this one's kind of lean towards a little bit more towards Mantis, I would say. He's going to bring along the range and the instinct cards in order to help her to help the Mantis deck out here. And it's a lot of like revealing cards from the top of the villain deck, things like that. Look at the top card of your own deck, has some phasing abilities in there, which is really nice. Some really decent attack values in there as well. I'm a pretty big fan of this one, actually. I think he does a really good job of just being nice and flexible. He's got a dual hero class in there as well. So I think you can probably grab Doctor Strange and slot it right into the Mantis deck and do pretty dang well. I would say the other one that we can take a look at is going to be the Freedom Fighters. So this is another range. It's going to provide some range cards, but it's also going to provide some instinct cards. And what's nice about them is they're all pretty generically strong. I mean, Mystics, it just gives you one recruit, but you draw an extra card at the end of the turn. Steel Warrior can go up to 2 attack if Street Conquerors triggers, and it gets to draw a card. So these cards can kind of be pushed and pulled into either deck. Doesn't really matter if it goes in the Drax deck or if it goes into the Mantis deck, but I think these are some pretty solid options, I would say, for this setup. So everybody in pod number 15, that is my suggestions for it. Good luck to everybody, including myself. Hopefully it goes over very well. And just hope you guys have a great time. So that is going to wrap up my video for week number 1 in the Marvel Legendary Spring Tournament of 2025. Hope you guys got some good information out of it. Hope you guys enjoy these videos. These do take a decent amount of work in order to do my research and to make the video, but I've got a lot of people tell me that they really appreciate them and they look forward to them every time a tournament pops up. So it's worth it for me. So anyways, guys, thanks for joining me. Have a great time. Good luck at the tournament, and I'll see you next time.